Bla 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 boo boo boo. Zikla hambo shilhela. Bla mori sukune ham. Sukubliet. Sukubliet. Le chupacabra sucks the blood. He found the goat. All my goats lost their blood. This is a translation. All my goats lost their blood. All my goats lost their blood. To the chupacabra. You guys didn't realize that there was a chupacabra in Russia, did you? Or wherever the fuck this is. But there is. Vitality, happy birthday to you. Let's go. Just a song and Joel mumbling for 4 hours straight. The chupacabra. El chupacabra. Sucking the blood of my goats. Stay away, stay away, stay away. Woo! That was Chupacabra by Molchat Doma. If you guys haven't heard that one before. Now I'm going to play the normal jams. Anyways. Oh, what's poppin'? My slimes. My fellow slimers. Jacob Bowling with the first dono of the night with a big 10 buckarino, says Buttersock Cult. My father's funeral was today. My heart is more broken than it was before, but I won't miss Joel streaming for anything. My wife Stephanie wants to comfort me in any way she can. I'm glad to hear that, Jacob. I'm really sorry to hear about... I'm glad to hear that your wife's there for you, but I'm sorry to hear that of such a sad occurrence there, and we are right there with you. Forever and always. Marijuana made into cigarettes. You've been waiting for this all night. Well, I'm happy to say that you no longer will be kept with bated breath, because I hath arrived. And now I'm here with freshly lubed lips. Freshly lubricated liprication. You sound like I do when I sing Spanish music. Make some of the words that, hey, you know, that's what you gotta do. You never know, maybe some of the ones that phonetically sound like English, maybe that's what they intended. Who's the artist for the Chupacabra song? Oh shit, I just had it up. I think it's called Molchat Doma. I can type it into chat. What kind of lip lube do I use? It's called All Good. It's a bunch of organic bullshit. Hippy dippy nonsense, but it works and it's great. For the lips. I found it's much better than Aquifer, which I was using previously. Even though Aquifer, I've heard good things like, say it's the winter time and you're heading to bed, just glob your lips up with Aquifer and go to bed, and it should keep them healthy through the winter. Someone may disagree with that, which I welcome. David De La Rosa with the 2 says, hi Joel, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing great. Another stream has arrived, and I am here. I'm healthy. I'm alive. We did biceps and shoulders today, so when I do my push-ups, I won't get hurt or cramped. Best Rena in town with the Big Ten Reno says, hello from Anchorage, Alaska. I'm a big fan. I've been listening to you for a long time. You're one of my favorite horror nerds. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Rena. And I hope you're staying warm. I hope you get at least one full week of spring over there in Alaska. I hear that it comes and goes pretty quick. Marco Carmona, almost a member of the Buttersock cult for a whole year, getting very close. And remember, don't lube yourself all the way to space. True. You get too lubed, you could slip on the floor, slide up the chimney, right into orbit. You never know. Also, side note, very good news, probably the biggest news really that I could ever reveal ever, is that Pradeep caught a mouse last night. And I was very, very proud of him, because the one light is like off in this one area, and I saw like a clump of shit on the carpet. I'm like, oh, did he shit? Because sometimes I think he does it like vindictively or something. He's like pissed. But then I went to like get it with a toilet paper wrapping to like get rid of it, and it was a goddamn little mouse. And I was like, holy shit, I'm holding a dead mouse right now. So that was gross. But it was like simultaneously grossed out and proud of him all at the same time. Very happy for his hunting skills. It's weird though, because I'm just imagining like, well, dude, his like hearing and shit, I didn't realize like Cat's hearing was so insane. Like, he will hear everything I cannot hear, you know. He'll like, I'll have the music up and shit, right? He'll be laying on top of me, I'll be on my phone, and then all of a sudden his ears will perk up and he'll run to like this one particular area in the shower and like start patting at certain places, because like I think he can just like hyper hear fucking everything, and he can hear the little chipmunk or mouses in there. Jacob with the 5 says, when I married Stephanie, people said that I married the most beautiful woman in the world. Well, you know what? They are absolutely correct. And thank you for the 5. Carly says, Aquifer is just like Vaseline is an emollient, which makes it doesn't sink into the skin, which is why it's good for... Oh, okay, good for winter. Nice, okay. You got the new Pradeep merch too. Hell yeah. Did you flush the mouse? I did flush the mouse. Should I not have flushed the mouse? No, actually, I ate it. I was like, what the fuck? How come he gets to eat all the mice? So you know what? I'm hungry once in a while. Marco with the 2 says, hey, good job on Pradeep. Yeah, hell yeah. Pradeep's ascending in his hunting skills. But anyways, guys, thanks for being here. We got lay Reddit stories for you to read tonight. You guys are going to read them, not me. JK, it's going to be me reading. So that should be fun. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Lucky 13, or unlucky, however you take it. Hey, there's Kashi. Great, now I have an image of Pradeep vindictively shitting all over the place in my head. Oh yeah, he is a very vindictive shitter. I remember one time, I don't know exactly how it happened, but I would leave my, like, this is when he was real young, but I would leave my door closed with my old roommate when I went to work at night for night shift. And then I came back and I came in the room and he just like darts out of there. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? How'd he get in here? And I swear to God, just like everywhere in the room was just like cat diarrhea, just like shot all over everything. It was like just like it was the worst, literally the worst fucking thing to come home to ever. And I don't know. I don't know if he did it vindictively or he actually had diarrhea. Maybe he has special powers where he can just give himself diarrhea as like a form of revenge. You never know with cats. Sometime found that Ziploc bag and wondered what the hell was... Wait, what about a Ziploc? Oh, one time I had a mouse skeleton in a Ziploc bag and it blew out of my sunroof on the highway and I screamed like bloody murder. Hey, wait, why did you have a mouse in a Ziploc bag? And a skeleton? It was a bloodbath, but a diarrhea instead of blood. Yeah, it was. It really was. What up, Chick? What's poppin'? We got Fry in the house. So Joel, did Pradeep catch that thing that was making the scratching noise? Well, yeah, I think so, but I swear there might be multiple ones because I think there's still something that skitter scatters in like the sort of liminal space between ooh, oh damn, ugh. You gonna catch me lacking, huh? Time to twerk, time to twerk. Oh my god, that came out of nowhere. Rosa Diaz with the $50 donation, a big old donorino there. Thank you, Rosa. Says I finally got closure with someone who hurt me and was able to eat properly. I got advice from some of you guys, so allow me to thank Buttersalt Cult and of course, oh, well, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Rosa. Yeah, closure is, it's a weird thing, you know what I mean? How we seek after it, and I'm glad that you're able to get it, and you know, living life in the right direction there. So thank you so much for letting us know about that, and thank you so much for your donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's windy and raining here. How's the weather where you are? Also, how do you spell your cat's name? Oh yeah, it's Purrdeep. So there's 2 R's. Deep. What up, Hanny? Hanny Banani. There's like some meme I saw where it was like when girls named Hannah rhyme their name with banana. It was very violent. You really should get a cat since you live in the basement. Honestly, it's like cats are just like one of the best. They're just so easy, you know what I mean? I guess if you get them from a kitten and they're just like yours, they're most likely gonna love you, because I think they sometimes just like pick one person to like gravitate towards, which I was fortunate with Pradeep that he gravitated towards me. You sound like you've been up talking all night. You know, I don't think so. Carlos says, I just squatted 245 pounds. Mind you, I weigh 135. Hell yeah, Carlos. Let's go. Keep grinding, my dude. That's awesome. What's like a goal weight? Oh yeah. You could probably get to like 3 plates at some point. I'm sure that's a goal of yours, but 245 is sick, dude. That's awesome. Swook with the 2 says, hello, lovelies. Hope everyone's great. Thank you, Swook. Good to see ya. Do I watch football? I do. American football. I'm curious. I don't know. This season was like actually interesting for some reason to me. And I do hope next season, I don't know. I don't know if it'll captivate my mind as much. Or maybe as I get older, football will get more and more captivating to me. Liftocracy, yeah. If you don't lift, get out. No, I'm just kidding. But it does feel good to challenge the body. Do I game? I do game, yeah. I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which is just like a, it's pretty much just a card game, like back and forth. But the nice thing is, instead of like having to pay money to build your deck, like you were buying Pokemon cards or some shit, like these ones, they just give you the cards, and then it's kind of based on luck and strategy. Who's my team? I can't say. it'll make you not, it might make somebody not like me. And so therefore I try to avoid politics, avoid religion, avoid talking about football. Your favorite team. American football is lame. That's just like your opinion, man. What's your favorite sport? What is your favorite video game? Back in the day, I had like an endless amount of hours on like Rainbow Six Vegas 2, where you would just like play co-op terrorist hunt, and that shit was just, I don't know, I just love that. And then I played a lot of like Battlefield Bad Company 2, which surprisingly even today still looks pretty dang good. Yo, Turtle, you flipping tables? What's going on? Read me, post a few above. What are we reading? I want to imitate shells. What if I had the voice originally and he... What if he took my voice? That'd be funny if he did a parody of me. I wonder if it would be easy to do a parody of me. Like, I don't really hear... I feel like my voice isn't like really one of those ones you do impressions of. Just drop my phone on my balls. Hell yeah. Good, no more kids. The mix of the radiation and the impact. You're in the clear. Just in case with these questions aren't real. The real question is this: is a hot dog a sandwich? Also, I was wondering if we're ever gonna do a found footage stories. Found footage. You know, potentially. But thank you, Justin. Good to see you. Hope no sex bots invaded. I know, yeah, they were prevalent last time. Just spamming the chat. There's nothing, the only thing I hate more than spam is sex bots. And especially sex bots who spam. Jensen did an impression. It was pretty good, but not quite there. Yeah, it was funny. He was saying, it was like, he said my voice was one of the hardest ones to impersonate. Just because it's like so normal, I guess. Sex bots are back in town. Great voice. How did I get started doing this? You know, I just wanted to start a YouTube channel, so I figured reading might be something I could do, and it just turned into a big old little podcast situation. But guys, thanks again for being here. Appreciate you as always. I got about 300 beautiful folks in the building. I'm going to switch over to our spooky reading screen. If you can click the like button if you haven't already, share this stream out on your social media. It does really help. Word of mouth, all that good stuff. I want to thank Robin for his amazing backdrop, as always.
Hey, listen.
And all of his help. Honestly, I feel like with the assistance of Robin's like artistic abilities, it just really has like upped the channel tremendously, so I always gotta thank him. Marco with the 2 says, some money for the Pradeep Catnip Fund. Yes, it's growing. He's just got a whole closet full of catnip at this point. Thank you, Marco. And Sarah with the 2. GG, baby. GG easy. All right, friends. Shall we kick it? Yes, we can. Robin's a god. Robin really is a god. He is a secret genius that he doesn't like to admit too often. I took his IQ. He was part of the Mensa Club or whatever it is. Shit. I gotta clear my mic. My mic's memory foam. The last time someone didn't like or share, they ended up on your reading background screen. True. That's them there floating. Sleeping with the fishes. Alright, we are in the clear. In the clean. Justin with the 2 says, yo, what's the eel and the skeleton's names? Well, I don't know if that's an eel as much as it is like a kraken of sorts, but I'm not sure. I don't even know if my avatar like has a name, to be honest with you. I feel like I thought of one like years ago. Who's Robin? Is Robin your producer? Robin does all my thumbnails and like artistic stuff, and like he edits the advertisements I do and things like that, and so a lot of visual things with computer graphics and Photoshop and all that good stuff. Robin is the god for real, for real. But yeah, we got 13 stories tonight. I'll kick it off with this first one. Let me know if you hear yours. Oh, there's an eel swimming around? Really? Where's he at? Oh, there it is. Man, that thing's cool. I have no clue. Mind elevation. What's poppin'? Okay. So back in the winter of 2006, me and my brother put... Oh, shit. We're off to a good start. So back in the winter of 2006, me and my brother both put college on hold to move back in with my mom at her condo. She'd been diagnosed with breast cancer and needed people to take care of her, so we just basically dropped everything to help her out. The story isn't about that though, and as sad as it was, she's since made a full recovery. Anyway, this one night I was sitting at my computer, and this is right in the middle of the whole cancer thing, so I was horrifically depressed. I was listening to super sad music, generally just being all emo, which I'm sure you can understand, and then all of a sudden, my mom came into the room. Out of nowhere, she's all annoyed, asking me why I was making so much noise for. But apart from the music I was listening to, which was sad and not loud at all, I wasn't making any noise at all. That's when she looked over my shoulder, like grabbed her chest with her That's when she looked over my shoulder, like grabbed her chest with her fuck. That's when she looked over my shoulder, just about grabbed her chest with this shocked look on her face, and screams, "What are you doing?" Now, you have to understand, my old room has these sliding glass windows that lead to a flat rooftop that was shared with basically all the other condos on one side of the street. So if a person wanted, they could climb up that end. They could climb up at the end of the street, then walk along the flat roofs and just climb in any window you wanted. And that's exactly what some total psycho had decided to do. I turned and saw a man in a hoodie looking into my window, and when my mom shouted at him, he looked incredibly shocked and then disappeared from view. My mom is racked with pain at this point, but she still ran out over to the window, pulled it up, and then started screaming out like, "Get lost or I'll call the cops. Don't ever come back here." It was all pretty shocking at the time, as you can imagine, but I was just glad my mom had caught the guy before he climbed into my window or whatever. It wasn't until later that I realized that he could have been sat there for literally any amount of time, just staring at me as I sat there, depressed, while listening to the music. That's when I went from being a little freaked out to absolutely horrified, because you know when people say, "I got a feeling I was being watched," things like that? Like there's a kind of ESP that tells you when someone is watching you? No, not real at all. Not in my case anyway. Someone can be staring at the back of your head for God knows how long, and you have absolutely no idea. At least for me. Anyway, we called the cops, and they basically did next to nothing. But thinking about it, besides posting a cop outside my window 24/7, there was nothing much they actually could do. Best they could do was to advise us to lock the windows and keep a bar across them in case they tried to break in. And we did just that. But I also decided to start keeping my knife by my bed that was within view of the window, and that was literally the only way I could manage to get some sleep there. The guy never... Oops. The guy never did come back, but for the longest time I'd look at my window and just imagine the guy's face staring back at me. I rearranged the setup in my room too, so it could never happen again, so no one would ever be able to watch me without me knowing. You love oysters. You know, I've tried to have oysters and stuff like that. I mean, I think that's the weird thing about seafood is like you literally have to dunk it in like salt and butter and every various other like dip just to make it like bearable. Daddy, chill. What the heck is even that? Oysters poison you, please keep away. Yeah, I don't recall like enjoying oysters. I mean, my family enjoys them, but I remember just like growing up, I feel like, I don't know, and they're chewy too, so it's just kind of like, you pretty much just have to slurp them down. It's kind of funny, just like humans are just like, hey, you know that weird stone looking thing at the bottom of the ocean? Let's fucking crack that shit open and eat it. And they always like bring it out on like some ice tray, you know what I mean? And it's got like a little bit of like, I don't even know, like seawater like still in it or some shit, as if though it's like fancy. I'm like, this shit was in a gutter, dude. This looks gross. It's like a sea booger. Heard the story today about the teacher that would go to students' desks and put, oh, he was short, so he had to go up to be at the wiener level. Yeah, I feel like I exchanged the word wiener a lot in these stories, which is funny. Microplastics in oysters and fish. Been hearing a lot about microplastics lately. Do I like shrimp? I do like shrimp, though, actually. I feel like I could eat a shit ton of shrimp, to be honest. Just, you know, just a couple of bottom dwellers, no big deal. Fish sticks are the best seafood. I love fish sticks. You enjoy cracking crab? Yeah, I like cracking crab legs just because it's like, I like to see how good I am at like completely sucking out the meat without like completely fucking it up, you know what I mean? I love eating microplastics. I just gargle them down. Even without butter or Old Bay. Well, yeah, I mean, crab I'll have with butter and Old Bay for sure. But goddamn, does it get messy. And it's so expensive whenever like 50% of like what's in front of you is just exoskeleton. Shellfish will legit kill me. I was in the hospital a while back and there was a woman who got rushed in. She was asked about allergies and she said she was allergic to shellfish. Yeah, that'll do it. Why are the bottom dwelling creatures the most expensive, like lobster and stuff? I imagine just because it's so difficult to acquire, you know what I mean? Like, you've seen, I mean, there's lobster traps that are like out on docks and stuff like that, but those like deep sea fishing, well, I guess they don't always have to go deep sea fishing, but I mean, it's just a process, you know what I mean? That's relatively dangerous to go out there and get. Microplastic leads to soy and man. Does it really? I can't imagine that. You could live off blue crabs, yeah, especially if you're from old Maryland. Shrimp, when they aren't properly deveined, including the poop chute, it will make me sad. Oh, yeah. It's pretty gross. Sometimes you gotta suck that poop down. I am a bottom-dwelling creature. That's true. Look at my boy floating down there at the base. How much would you see my skeleton there? How much would you guys pay to eat that? There's probably a little bit of meat on there. This happened a long time ago. At the time, I was living alone in a first-floor apartment. My girlfriend had been sick at the time and ended up in the hospital dealing with a very rare disease. She recovered fine from it, but during those weeks, my life was pretty much go to work, go to the hospital to be with her, come back to the house for dinner, and then bed. It was a Friday night and I was alone, so I decided to distract myself by reading and watching some videos on YouTube. Hours passed, and at 3 a.m. I was in bed with my iPad in my hand, almost falling asleep. And then I heard it. I knew that sound pretty well. You see, outside, right in front of my bedroom door, there was a long corridor that leads directly to the kitchen. This apartment was in a building built in the 50s, and the kitchen door was old and had become slightly bent. That meant that whenever you turned the doorknob to open the door, it would snap out of its place with a distinct clack sound. And that was the sound I had just heard. A lot of thoughts ran through my mind in that moment. Had I dreamt it in my semi-sleeping state? Or maybe the sound was real, but what happened was that the doorknob's internal mechanism broke and it opened by itself. Or, of course, maybe someone was in my house and they had just opened the door. At this point, my heart was racing and I started considering my options. I had a broomstick next to my bed. You may ask why I had it there, and to be honest, I had it exactly because I lived alone and thought one day I might be in a situation like this where I would need some type of weapon. My girlfriend even used to joke about it, but I guess that my paranoia was now paying off in the most unfortunate of situations. So I decided I was going to take the stick on one hand. Whoops. Take the stick. You have to starve snails in order to eat them, or they're incredibly poisonous. Oh, interesting. See, isn't it weird? Like, somebody had to go through that, and then, like, even after they got poisoned by it, they were like, okay, that guy got poisoned, but what if I still really want to eat these things? What if we just don't feed them? Okay. But you have to go first. Everyone tell Joel to kill John Lennon to activate his secret agent ability. Kill John Lennon. Kill John Lennon. I just like walk out of the street here, like my windows shatter and I just climb out of it. They're like smoked salmon. I do. Hey, De La Monte Robinson, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Welcome. Only 25 degrees here and I'm in bed, but I want soup and now I want clam chowder. Clam chowder. So I decided I was going to take the stick on one hand and grab my cell phone on the other. I would open my bedroom door while calling 911, and if no one else was in the apartment, I would just apologize to the operator on the other end of the line and explain the situation. However, back in those days, my cell phone wasn't yet a smartphone, and it had this feature I found interesting, even though I never used it. If you pressed on a couple of specific keys, it would start ringing like someone was calling you. It was meant to be used when you wanted to simulate that you were getting a call to get out of a boring conversation or a tough situation. Clumsily, I pressed on those keys and the phone started ringing. I quickly shut it up, but now it had become clear inside the apartment that I was awake. If someone was outside my bedroom, they certainly heard it. But what was going to happen? I stopped for a few seconds to hear my surroundings. Nothing. It was dead quiet. I decided. Why do I always like break into a fucking weird accent out of nowhere? Everyone's cat is a sleeper agent. Catfish can also have parasites that cause intestinal distress. That doesn't sound yummy. That doesn't sound very cash money of catfish. Why don't they just let us fry them up and eat them? Come on. It's a circle of life, bro. I decided to continue with my plan. I dialed 911 with one hand, raised the broomstick with the other, and quickly opened the door. As soon as I did that, wait, did I feel like I fucked up the one thing. Because you're fucking weird. I stopped for a few seconds to hear my surroundings. Nothing. It was dead quiet. I decided to continue with my plan. I dialed 911 with one hand, raised the broomstick with the other, and quickly opened the door. As soon as I did that, someone sprinted in front of me. Oh, I need to get that, I need to make that sound creepier. Because I'm like, this is the part where it's like, the piano hits like, doodle-loo-loo. Well, not necessarily doodle-loo-loo, but you get the idea. If I was Irish, what would I sound like? Probably something a bit sing-songy like this, just to let everyone know that everything is going to be okay, and that there's about 3 more hours to the apocalypse. That sounds terrible. But whatever, I don't care. As soon as I did that, someone sprinted in front of me in the corridor and quickly got into the kitchen, closing the door behind them. I screamed, "Hey," and started pursuing, but a split second later I thought, stop. What if there is someone in the apartment? What if another intruder sneaks up on from behind? Oops. What if another intruder sneaks up on you from behind? In front of me was the corridor to the kitchen, but on my left was another corridor that led to the living room and office. The office had the light on, so the intruder had been there, but I didn't know if he had company. I took a step back into the entrance of my room so that I wouldn't be caught off guard. "Sir, are you there?" The operator on the 911 call, The 911 operator was calling me on the phone. I quickly explained to him what was happening, gave him my address, and he told me the police were on their way. They had a patrol car nearby, so I should just wait by. And then he hung up. The apartment was dead silent. I was terrified. There were only 3 things I had been able to notice in the intruder. He had a light-colored sweatshirt with horizontal black lines, dark hair, and he smelled really bad, believe it or not. In fact, the smell was still in the apartment, and I could still kind of sense it in my heightened paranoia. The police arrived after 7 or 8 minutes, what felt like ages. The apartment door was next to the bedroom, so I managed to quickly approach it and lock the door to let them in. I explained what happened to the police, and they said that we should go through the whole apartment and check every single hiding place. They had seen situations before where a burglar had hidden himself for a long enough period, even after the house owners had called the police, only later to attack them. The apartment wasn't that big, so it was easy to conclude that no one else was hiding there. In the kitchen, it was obvious what had happened. It had these large windows that faced the back of the building, where we had a small community garden. I had left one of the windows open next to it. On the outside, there was a large drain pipe. There's a large drain pipe. Also, sometimes my voice just becomes... I'm 4 years old. It does sound similar to your maker. That's true, I do, yeah. Fred with are those pesos? Thank you, Fred. Says, I was listening to a video of yours on a speaker, and my roommate said your voice was very handsome. Oh. Thank you, roommate. And thank you, Fred, for the donation. You flinched. You have to marry your mother-in-law. Anna, I'm glad you watched that show. Thank God. Thank God somebody else has experienced peak comedy. You have to marry your mother-in-law. And then the wheel flies off. I had left one of the windows open, and next to it, on the outside, there was a large drain pipe along the wall. The intruder used that pipe to climb to my window and get in. The police left to go look around the neighborhood for someone matching the description of the sweatshirt I described, and while they were gone, I could still smell that horrible odor the intruder had left in the apartment. After around 20 minutes, they came back. They couldn't find anyone. The burglar was long gone. Luckily, he didn't have the chance to steal anything while he was in my apartment, but the audacity. I mean, he must have seen the light on in my bedroom through the edges of the door and still tried walking past it to steal something from the office. I didn't sleep that night, obviously. In the morning, I went to the garden in the back to try to find any further clues of the intruder, but I couldn't find anything. A neighbor in the building next door was at the window, and I called out to her. I told her what had happened, and she just smiled and said, "Well, welcome to the neighborhood. We all have stories like that in this place. You should never leave your windows open, and maybe you should consider getting some bars to protect them." The next day, I bought a motion alarm and installed it in the kitchen. I never had another experience like that in that apartment, but to be honest, I never slept the same way in that bedroom, traumatized by those events of that night. At night, I would fear hearing again the sound of the kitchen door snapping out of its place. A few years later, I moved out to a larger apartment in another neighborhood. This time it was on a 7th floor. So much harder for intruders to get in through the windows. Please say on the lawn. On the lawn. On the lawn. Get bars on the windows. Never leave. Well, you would think you would communicate with your landlord or something, and they would be responsible for that, but I guess maybe not. But wonder how hard it is to install bars on your windows. Sounds kind of sweet. Just to make sure that nobody escapes. Escapes. A bit higher pitch in the lives, yeah. It's a bit more communicative. It's kind of funny, like, sometimes I feel like working out just exists specifically just to distract people from their woes, you know what I mean? If you got the blues, just go to the gym, and suddenly you're, like, bogged down by the fact that you gotta do a bunch of shit, and then you just kind of, like, forget what your issues were, you know, even if it is just for a little bit. But sometimes those thoughts, like, still creep in, even as you're, you know, say you're on, like, rep 15 of just some really pointless exercise, but you gotta do it. And you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I even here? Who are these people? Why are they working out? What is the point of all of us doing this? Why is that guy flexing over there? Is he vain? What's wrong with him? Well, you know, I do that too, but not in public. What the fuck? You know, it's just like a strange sort of like modern phenomenon that like human beings go to a place where there's just like iron that you pick up and put down, you pick up and you put down till like, and like, you know, obviously it's like a personal thing for yourself, but like there is sort of like an underlying thing like, well, I have to look good for the public. I must look good for the public. I would hate to think that they think lesser of me in some sort of abstract concept in my head. But yeah, the gym was okay. But the one preacher curl area is busted, and I'm worried that they'll never fix it, and I want to die. Because I tried using the preacher curl machine, and it just felt really weird. When your ADD is so out of control, you can't even count reps. Yeah, sometimes, like, the way that I count reps in my mind, it's like, I do count them, but at the same time, like, I almost feel like you know how, like, you count rhythm with music? You know what I mean? Where sometimes you don't even count it, you just feel the rhythm of the music. That's sort of like the counting that sometimes, like, subconsciously takes place in my head. And, I don't know, sometimes you just gotta guesstimate. You're like, that felt like 100 reps, whatever. Even though it's been like 4. You love swimming laps, the water hides. Oh, that's true. Especially if you swim in like a swamp. No one would see you in the swamp. The human experience in general is kind of strange. It is, yeah. And there was like these girls at the gym, and like they were just like so hardcore, like valley, you know what I mean? I don't know, what do you call that? Like just like sorority valley girls. And like I almost like wanted to like say like, you guys should start a podcast, you know? And I thought it would be like a funny thing to say, but I didn't, because I was like, you know what, I have no reason to speak to these people. But like, just because some of this, I don't know, they just like, I remember like working out in the exact spot where I was and seeing them before, and they just talk so much fucking shit, but like really loud on like people like, but I know about like Tiffany, you know, their friend Tiffany, who's just like super cute and small, and then like you know, Jerry, he's kind of weird, I don't know, you know, like they're just like talking about every fucking person on planet Earth. And then I'm not even like looking at them, but I swear to God, they just like they're just like, we're looking at people and like whispering to each other. I'm like, you guys are cartoon characters. Like, you need to chill. When you feel the rhythm of the night. Ah. Joshua with the 1. Thank you, Josh. At the gym, you don't care if people look at you. Do you ever see a girl you like to date? Would you ask her something to break the ice? Maybe ask if she would feel your muscles. That's usually what I go right to. I just like walk up to them and I flex directly 3 inches from their face, and I just go ooh, and I just gauge their reaction. And if they ook back at me like a monkey, I know that we were meant to be. Joel was raised in the UK by American parents. Don't tell anybody. Would you listen to the Valley Girl podcast? You know, I might for like 30 seconds till I turn it off. But I would definitely listen to it with somebody, I think. Just to have a bit of a giggle. I don't actually know what they talk about, though. Reebok or Nike joke in Spanish? What is it? Yeah, just jiggle my boobies like Terry Crews. Oh, yeah! Dude, I miss Terry Crews. I haven't seen him in anything in forever. What's my craziest gym experience? Honestly, I don't really recall. Hey, Lila, there she is. Craziest gym experience. I just remember one time, one of the coaches, when I was doing CrossFit, like they pulled down one of the rowers, but it like knocked another one over, and then like fell kind of like a pendulum down directly onto my fucking like scalp, and just like instantaneously it was just like blood like dripping down my face. And he's like, oh my God, dude, oh my God. And then one time I was doing like snatch, which is like a stupid Olympic weightlifting movement, and I like, you know, had about like 115 on the bar, so it was like warming up and stuff, and like I just pulled it really hard, but like you kind of like cock your head through, and I brought my head through like too fast and just like smacked the bar directly into my forehead, and just like instantaneously had a fucking like Harry Potter scar right there. I was able to treat it like over the weekend and stuff, so it doesn't, you know, it's not visible and stuff, but I remember just being like, oh my fucking God, am I about to look like Harry fucking Potter with none of the magic spells? When you see someone taking their sweet time on a machine or on a bench, I always ask if I could alternate in. No reason why we both can't get our work. No, that's true. I do that too. I get annoyed because people just fuck around. But at the same time, I do feel bad because I know that it like rushes them a little bit, and it doesn't give them like very good rest time, including myself either. Like, it's just, you don't get those like really quality reps, you know what I mean? Say Irish wristwatch. That's a tough one. Irish wrist. Was it the sound of your teaspoon against the cup Sounds like sword being taken out of the scabbard. Did I don't have a teaspoon. What did you hear? I don't know. Wait, did you hear that? It was like whistling for a little bit. That's weird. Who's my next collab with? Probably going to be with a guy named Time6. Do you guys know Time6? He does like 4chan stories and other stuff. But yeah, they're going to be stories from 4chan. So this should be interesting. He said they're all, should be YouTube approved. So I'm hoping that they're pretty dope. Alright. It's a chime-like sound. Yeah, it was just my tea. It was me cow. Sounds like the triangle. The twiangle. This story happened many years ago when I was a 43-year-old female. Oh, whoops. More cowbell, let's go. This is a story that happened many years ago when I was around 8 or 9. I'm 43 years old now. My parents and I lived in a very beautiful big old house that used to be a hotel in the 19th century. The house had 4 extra apartments, and in one of them lived this middle-aged guy who we'll call F. The house was placed on a very small but long road that went between fields and a small forest, all of it going downhill before it ended right by the beach. There was maybe 15 houses and only one other kid my age, so I would sometimes visit the adults in the area. There was a few incidents with F, the guy that rented one of the apartments. The first one happened when my friend and I were roller skating and we met F, who was out on his bicycle. We asked him if he would tow us because we were tired, and he let us hold onto his bike. At first we thought it was great because not all adults would have been okay with that idea. And the ride didn't go very well. Once we held onto the bike, he started going faster and faster, and I mean really fast. It was summertime, and we only had on shorts or skirts, and back then we didn't have a lot of protective gear, so we basically didn't want to fall down. We started going out We started out by politely asking him to go slower, but he didn't listen or couldn't hear us at all. Then we started getting near a really big hill where gravity would always make you go way too fast, so there would always... So there we would always zigzag our way down to make it down safely. At this point, we were screaming at him to stop, but he did the opposite and was standing up on the bike so he could go even faster. And then he told us to let go of the bicycle if he didn't... And then he told us to let go of the bicycle if we didn't like it. But there was no way we could have done that without falling, and he knew that. Even if he didn't know, he could clearly hear the fear in our voices. But he didn't stop before we were at a good big... Man, what the fuck is going on? But he didn't stop. Summer Markela with the 5 says, was binge watching a new Netflix show and just realized I got the notification for your live stream. Glad I made it. Yeah, welcome. Which show were you watching? And thank you for the 5. Joel could narrate my tax returns and make them sound dreamy and fascinating. So here you can see where the government takes a large baseball bat directly to your butt. Isn't that exciting? Wait, what do I get in return? Oh, not much. Well, what if I don't want to, give them the money? Well, you see, they have people with guns. Oh, okay, you can have it. That's right. But he didn't stop before we were a good bit past that hill, and when we confronted him afterwards, he just said he only did what we wanted him to do, and that it was our own... Sorry, I can't read. This is fucking weird. But he didn't stop before we were a good bit. But he didn't stop before we were a good way bit. Dude, I can't read this fucking sentence. What the fuck? But he didn't stop before we were a good bit past that hill, and when we confronted him afterwards, he just said that he only did what we wanted him to do, and that it was what we wanted him to do. Hey, Will, with the big $25 Reno donation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Joel, for narrating. Ugh, taxes. Did them, but ugh. Dude, every year I'm just like, what if? I mean, just think about that. Like, every single person has to pay, like, I mean, you could look at your tax stubs on your paychecks, see how much you pay into it. And then if you just think to yourself, like, how much you could utilize that towards, like, you know, your own sort of, like, directed community growth or your own personal investments, I almost feel like that would be, like, infinitely better, better suited for the population than just, like, the inefficient nonsense that it usually gets dumped into. And mainly, it's not even, like, the programs, it's more just the inefficiency at which they're run, because whenever you're a government program or you're whatever it might be, you're not like a company. You know, it's not like the taxpayer can just wake up and say, hey, you're not doing a good job anymore, I'm not gonna pay that. You know, the way that you would if you didn't like the way that they made your McDonald's, you know what I mean? But imagine if, like, McDonald's made, like, some of the shittiest sandwiches ever, and you were, like, legally bound to to get like just a Whopper or something. I don't know. And, you know, they would never be motivated to put anything, like, yummy in it. I don't know. It's just stupid. I don't know. I think that the individual should have a lot more say. Like, the way that I think that the system would make a lot more sense is, like, it's really weird. Like, you have the elected officials, and everybody gets all up in arms about it during the time, and they feel as if though that candidate's going to be, like, their guy. It's going to be their guy, you know what I mean? Or their person. And then they just have, like, complete control of the decisions for the next period of time with various, like, checks and balances. But, like, you look at something in the way you make a decision on, like, what you purchase. Like, I wanted to buy this hat, or I wanted to buy this microphone, and all those kinds of things. It's like you get to individually be a participant in, like, whether or not you invest in those items, you know what I mean? But when it comes to the government and the way that that's sort of set up, it's like you don't really get a choice, and you don't really get to, like, participate other than just sort of, like, haphazardly bitching about shit on Twitter. Like, that fucking does anything. Marco with the 5 says, IRS, as a matter of fact, you owe us some money. Me, I was expecting... Yeah, right, you know. It's fucking weird. And Vanessa Marie with the 10. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, thank you. Wolf spiders are kind of terrible. Yeah, wolf spiders are pretty scary looking because they look like miniature tarantulas. And they get pretty big. Pradeep's having a bit of a scratch behind me. Taxation is theft. I mean, that's... it's like, to a degree I understand it, but, like, it's like every year it goes up and up and up and up and up, and, you know, it's just... Like, when's the last time anybody, like, any candidate has ever gone out of their way to, like, decrease that for you? You know what I mean? Like, it just... I don't know. It's nonsense. But I guess that's what we live in. I mean, it's weird, too. Whatever. Fuck, I don't give a shit anymore. But he didn't stop before we were a good bit past that hill, and when we confronted him afterwards, he just said he only did what we wanted him to do, and that it was our own fault.
And the second incident is the real creepy encounter that I had with this guy, but at the time I just thought it was a bit weird. My mother, on the other hand, got really mad, and as an adult, I now understand why. I had met F in the driveway, and he invited me in to get a cup of tea. I remember sitting on his couch and not liking the tea because it had no sugar, and when I asked for some, he refused to give me any. Maybe he said he didn't have any, but anyway, I didn't like the tea, and he kind of forced me to drink it anyways, saying how I was the one who wanted it, and now he went through the trouble of making it, and so on. He got kind of mad, and so did... Oops. He got kind of mad, so I did what he told me to do because he was an adult and I was only a child. That evening I told my mom, and right away took the... And she right away... Oh, I see. That evening I told my mom, and she right away took the phone and called him, and then she yelled at him for endangering us girls when we were roller skating, and got even more angry when she told him to never ever invite me to his apartment, especially to never force her little girl to do anything whatsoever, such as have a drink from a strange person. This could have been the end of the story, but actually I met another guy about 10 years later, and he told me that F had informed him that I was the kind of girl that just needed to be cornered and pressured a bit, and then... Jesus. This could have been the end of the story, but actually I met another guy about 10 years later, and he told me that F had informed me that I was the kind of girl that just needed to be cornered and pressured a bit, and then he could have his way. Thank God my mom stepped in when she did, and it never came to that. Tall geese? Gundam? Where's the hawk? Yeah, I don't know. He's missed his migratory patterns. To come down from the cold north down here. TSB Shadow Sparrow, what's poppin'? Yeah, that story did get pretty dark, but thank God it didn't escalate. Because honestly, some of those ones, like, that are, I don't know, that level of traumatic, I always feel really uncomfortable reading. Got hungry making grilled cheese and chicken noodle soup. You got hungry while making them? Amanda, you're getting sleepy. Good, good. Tall Geese the Fourth says, yes, my name is a Gundam reference. Hell yeah, brother. They're making a Gundam video game soon. Seems interesting. A few years ago, I, a 26-year-old female, used to work at a job where I usually wouldn't get off until around 11 p.m. I didn't mind it for the most part. I'm a night owl by nature, but I read a lot of Let's Not Meet stories and watch a lot of horror movies. I wouldn't say I'm paranoid, but I'm definitely cautious. This one particular night, I was driving home along one of the main roads. It was late enough that traffic was fairly scarce, but not so late that I felt that I was the only one out, especially because there had been a Jeep behind me for a good while at that point. When it came time for me to make my first turn, the Jeep followed. This wasn't particularly unusual. I was still on the big road, so I didn't... Oops, excuse me. This wasn't particularly unusual. I was still on the big road, so I didn't think anything of it. I needed to get gas, and luckily there was a fairly busy and well-lit gas station on my way home. I feel like the layout is important, so bear with me. From the road I was on, you had to turn left onto a side street, and then turn right onto a street that runs parallel with the grocery store, and then turn right again to get into the gas station. It's a very specific destination, and there's no traffic. Fuck. It's a very specific destination and there's no through traffic. When I went to make the first left, the Jeep got into the turn lane with me. This is when I started paying attention. They had already been behind me for a good 10 to 15 minutes and seemed unlikely that they were just coincidentally going to the same gas station as me, considering how many there were in that area. But, like I said, there's also a grocery store that's open 24 hours, so I thought maybe they were just going there. However, they still followed after me when I turned into the gas station. I pulled up to one of the pumps in the middle of the lane, put my car in park, and watched the Jeep in my rear view. There was no way I was getting out of my car until I figured out what they were doing. If they pulled up to a pump and started getting gas, I'd laugh at myself and carry on. They didn't pull up to a pump. They lurked at the back of the lot, just idling in place for close to a minute, I'd say. Finally, they started slowly driving around the far end of the pumps until they reached Whoopsie schmazies. Whoopsie daisy. Timur, Ali, take care, take care. Anyone else getting tiny biting gnat invasions this time of year? What the hell are they coming from? They'll bite the hell out of you. Huh, biting gnats. Interesting. I'm trying to think. I get gnats sometimes when I have like bananas. You know, you have like fruits and your garbage is filled with shit that's like decomposing or whatever. Do you have any bodies laying around? Finally, they started slowly driving around the far end of the pumps until they stopped again in front of my car, maybe 15 feet away. Unfortunately, they had tinted windows, so I couldn't see who was in the car or what they were doing, but after another brief period of time, they just drove off. I got gas and drove home, keeping an eye out, but I didn't see them again. Also, I just realized something that honestly made me sick to my stomach. If I hadn't decided to get gas that night, and if they were in fact following me, my next turn would have taken me into a very large, very dark, very empty park. It takes almost 5 minutes to drive through and has a million speed bumps, so there isn't any quick escape. I hate thinking about what could have happened if I hadn't stopped. All my fruits are old and full of gnats, 'cause I'm gonna make some banana bread. I'm gonna make banana bread, don't you understand? Not Jackie Chan with the 4. Oh, Jackie. You think you can just get away with hiding your identity in the chat like that? Well, guess what? I do my own stunts too. Speaking of which, how many push-ups are we up to for this week? My triceps shouldn't cramp up on me because I didn't do chest or triceps today. Dude, I'm trying to sleep. Your slip-ups are making me laugh. That's funny. Yeah, that's just part of the process. I do apologize because I have to record it onto a memory stick, and then I edit that memory stick later. Can I give you an update on that weird email? Yeah, there's not really much to update. I just assumed it was like some type of troll because I haven't really gotten much from that since. And honestly, you know, I'm a pretty, you know, geared up individual. I've got a lot of Home Alone traps with like paint buckets on pendulum swings and various other, you know, pieces of rope that if you step into them, it pulls you up into a tree or a net, just like scattered around the property. You know, so I think I'm good. Daddy's push-ups is up to 25. Holy shit. Can I do it? Do you guys believe in me? Should we do it? Are you guys going to do it with me? Are you going to do your push-ups and or squats and or various exercise that we increase by 1 rep every frickin' time?
Yeah, honestly, trolls are just looking for a reaction. I've realized, like, since being a person online, that, like, people will go to great lengths to get your attention. And it's very strange, you know? Because, in my opinion, I'll be honest, I don't really think my attention is really, like, that valuable. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty normal, pretty unassuming individual. Like, the extent that people will use, like, negativity to get people to look at them is such a strange thing to me. It's just like, bro, go take a nap or go for a jog or go build, you know, Gundam model kits. I don't know. Yasmin Kelly with the 10. Thank you. All right. Shick, you better be doing them too. 25. Unless you got a pull-up bar near you. What are people doing? We're doing, so every stream I do push-ups. Daddy's home push-ups, because when Daddy's home, you do push-ups. And been going up by 1 rep every time. And we're at 25. I don't know what we started at, maybe, but, and then everybody else does, like, various other exercises by 1 rep, but fuck it. Let's go. Count it. We're gonna count it. Dude, your backgrounds are crazy. I feel like I'm watching a lava lamp. Hell yeah. That is the intended feeling. Okay. Anyways. Also, the sweatshirt that I'm wearing is so fucking nice. It's like a Reebok thing. And the thing I love about, like, the sweatshirts that, like, you can pull up the sleeves and they're not, like, tight. They're just, like, elastic. Those are fucking dope. Also, sweatpants rule. Anyways, here's 25 push-ups. Oh, Deep's here. Hello, sir. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, bitch. Holy fuck. That actually was easier that time around. Holy fuck. Can you do a conspiracy Mandela effect story? Maybe. I don't know. I feel like YouTube doesn't really like conspiracy stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's like mixed with negative connotation or like association with other things. So that's Natalia with a 279 Canadian. Thank you. Joel Bootcamp, yeah, let's go. I feel like I don't expect much, but okay. But those banged out pretty quick. First time I've joined the push-ups. Yeah, let's go. Peer pressure into being fucking jacked, bro. Help your core is angry. What did you do? Yeah, I guess you could do, for core, I guess you could do like planks for 25 seconds. Okay. 15, nice, Carla, let's go. You love Joel Bootcamp. And like someone's like eating like 25 Oreos. Dude, I would love 25 Oreos right now. That'd be so fucking good. Super peer pressure. Applying super peer pressure. Do it or you're out of the group. The cult. My Rottweiler is stinking my room up, snoring and ripping farts. Dude, come on. Dude, I wish I had a Rottweiler. That sounds fucking cool. I want to be basking in a stinky. Hannah did some squats. Let's go. Alright, I'll eventually get my breath back. You're eating roast beef. You're eating a roast beef sandwich. Hell to the yes. 25 bites. Jumping jacked right into the light fixture. Oh no. That's right. It's just like, I don't know, I just imagine somebody like above their parents' room just like, 1, 2, and it's like shaking the whole room. They're like, what the fuck is going on? Pradeep would rip up a rot. You know, honestly, I don't even know. He's farted before, but it's very infrequent. He's a very polite gentleman with his stinkies. Gorilla Glue consumer, what's poppin'? I'm doing good. I'm just trolling. Any ghost stuff tonight? Sadly, no, my friend. I apologize. 25 Scots, nice. Okay, I think I got my breath back, and I'm ready to rock and roll with the reading. My asthma.
When I was 18, I moved to live with my dad. He lived in the basement level apartment in a pretty rundown small city. It's kind of notorious for being a dangerous place. I'd heard gunshots on occasion and passed-by use syringes like they were cigarette butts. A lot of weird and creepy things happened to me and around me while I lived out there, but I'll stick to one story that came to mind. I had gotten in the habit of walking around town aimlessly. It was a means of occupying myself and exploring the sights. I could get cool pictures of graffiti, and since I wasn't in school or working at the time, it was its own means to an end. But there was one night where I had strayed a little too far and was coming up on the rail tracks. There was a group of 3 of what I assume were homeless-looking individuals walking towards me. I meant to pass them, trying to avoid eye contact, but when I peeked up, I noticed the older woman in the middle of the two. What is this? I meant to pass them to try to avoid eye contact, but when I peeked up, I noticed the older woman in the middle of 2 untimely looking men. Is that an appropriate adjective? Untimely looking men? What does untimely mean? Like they're from the past? They didn't look like the year 2019. Whoops. Untimely, occurring or done at an inappropriate time, inopportune, occurring too soon, premature. Yeah, I don't think untimely would make sense here. Not that it's a big deal, but maybe like unkempt. Can you do a con man theme stories like the lady who put someone's finger in Wendy's chili? Oh, is that like a con man related thing? I feel like that would be really creepy. I remember reading a story where they made it sound like somebody splooged in like somebody's Wendy's sandwich or in their chicken nugget. Oh, that's a story I remember. Someone splooged in their chicken nugget sauce. I'd still eat it. I wouldn't care. Chicken nuggies from Wendy's are good. What's like another word instead of untimely? I'll just say. Yeah, unkempt makes sense. Yeah. Are the sex robots here? Isaac Asimov would like a word. Yeah. Do the sex robots dream of electric dildos? That was written by Isaac. Or Heinlein. Is that his name? Heinlein? I meant to pass them, trying to avoid eye contact, but I peeked up and I noticed the older woman in the middle of 2 unkempt-looking men staring at me. Looking me dead in the eyes, the woman stopped and said my name. It was clear, and almost friendly, but incredibly creepy. I kept walking instinctively, but I couldn't get it out of my head. I tried thinking like maybe she said a word that sounded like my name, but I have a pretty unique name to begin with. The fact that she was staring at me, I don't know, it was like she knew me. It didn't help that the railroad was next to the town cemetery. I'm a sort of want-to-believe type person, even though I usually don't, but that experience, as minor as it was, had me chilled to the bone. Strange things were happening to me till... Jesus, I had a stroke there reading that one. Strange things were happening to me a lot when I lived in this city, and now that I'm removed from it, it's easier to write off. But a big part of me thinks there's something about that place. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, someone asked if there's a paranormal story. This is kind of paranormal. Strange things were happening to me a lot when I lived in that city, and now that I'm removed from it, it's easier to write off. But a big part of me thinks there's something about that place that isn't entirely normal. Hein Lin. Oh, okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Blech, what a word. By age 30, the average American has consumed a cup and a half of splooge from fast food restaurants. You know, how the fuck would they know that? You know what I mean? It's like the same like type of data, or they're like, you know, every night you eat 800 spiders or something. You know, it's just like, who the fuck is just like sitting, like how many people would you even need in like a control group and like a study in Harvard? Like, I got an idea to get my PhD. We need to figure out how many spiders people eat. What? Why the fuck would people eat spiders? Shut up. They need to know this data. All right, whatever. $800,000 grant to study how many spiders you just wander into your mouth and gnaw on. So to make up for it, whenever I don't feel I've gotten enough spiders, I just find them on the walls. I start eating them myself. The spider night keeps the boogeyman, the booger man away. Well, that's the thing, is like, but I'm fairly certain that that statistic about spiders, and then especially that one about splooge, there's no way you would know that. There's no way to like accurately study that stuff. So it's just made up stuff. Like, it's almost like a better way to like test how fast like rumors can pass through like the usage of like false data. You know what I mean? Probably pretty fucking fast because everyone just believes everything ever, all the time. Oh, I've had over a cup and a half of splooge just from Wendy's. Makes sense. I do like Wendy's. Like, but not once do you like question why the fuck they're splooging in the first place. Maribel Silva with the 5 says, Joel, the creepy fox told us to tell you good. Oh, okay. Good night, creepy fox. Sorry about that. I missed him. But thank you, Maribel.
Hey, listen.
We will find a way to study the splooge. The government is giving away trillions of dollars in grants for splooge research and research groups. In 2016, I had just returned to my home state from college, freshman year, and had gotten an awesome job as a store manager from a local boutique. I loved my job, and even though I had a really young crew, 90% of the time, they worked hard. We were located in an indoor mall and were on the top level. Lots of people used the mall for whatever. Walking, window shopping, hanging out, real shopping, etc. And I loved meeting new people, so I honestly enjoyed it. The night it started, I had my favorite 2 girls with me who were about 17 and 18, and we'll call them A and M. They only worked a few hours a night throughout the week, but they were so sweet and fun to be around. So the night started like any other. A was putting out new stock, M was helping a customer, and I was fixing up the denim wall. My phone rang and it was my mom, which was weird. She never bugs me during work hours. So I answered and asked what was going on. She replied and told me about how she had just watched this news story about human trafficking taking place around the area of the mall. They had caught a bunch of guys trying to force 2 girls into their truck. Dayami Leilani with the 2 says, Buenos noches. Buenos noches. Thank you for the 2. Good night. Guten Abend. Maybe that's why Wendy's tastes so good. The Gargalon grant, yeah, for splooge-related research. Joe Biden, this has been his biggest focus during his administration. We gotta figure out more about splooge. $1 trillion. $1 trillion. I don't know. But sir, that's gonna cause massive inflation. I don't know. Splooge. We need to know about splooge. Which animal would you risk your finger for to boop their nose? Probably like a black panther. Because I remember watching this one video of like this person had like a black panther as like a pet or something like that. And it was pretty young still. And it was like laying on its back, like kind of being playful. And then he just like slowly came down and like brought his, it was like in slow motion, I think. Like, and the finger like touched its like teeth. And then he brought it out real quick. And like as he did that, the teeth just instinctually like clamped together like freaking vice. And that looked very dangerous. And maybe a great white shark. That would be interesting. You know how like people always, the great white shark like pops up and people like touch its nose. That would be a very surreal experience. But I could also see me being like the one where it just like extends a little bit further and fucking pulls me in. If you could do anything in the world, what would you do? I don't know. I'm thinking about like traveling stuff, but then like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's not that exciting, is it? But maybe it is. You have to give me some ideas. What would you guys do? Luna the Pantera. Oh, not that one. I've seen her YouTube channel, or like, you know, their Instagram and stuff, and that one actually seems really nice. It almost seems like not large enough to be like a panther. It seems like almost like the runt of the litter panther. Like it's a very small one. Did you see the guy flipping the shark as it swam at him? No, how did he flip it? Do daddy push-ups? I already did them. What kind of girl am I attracted to? I like people with a sense of humor. Like everything. Just laugh at everything. Everything's funny. You know what I mean? People that don't get upset about things is nice, you know? Do you think you have the ability to make a scary true event happen to someone on command? You seem all powerful. You know, sometimes I get angry and lights will flicker. No, I'm just kidding. And people that I'm mad at, their lives will just go to hell. Just kidding. That would be scary. Imagine if you got angry, and every time you got angry at somebody or had like say you had like one of those like fake arguments that people have, those like just pointless fake arguments you have with people, but like in your head or like in the shower or something like that. But then bad stuff happened to them. That would be a very scary thing, because then you're like, try really hard not to think negative stuff about people, or maybe you give in to that power. The Helinator. What is up, my friend? Welcome to the Butter Sock Call. You now have access to bonus content. The pic of Pradeep today on Twitter, freaky. I know, wasn't that weird? Like, it actually looked like he had like human eyes in that picture, which, I don't know, just the way he looked directly into the camera, it was just kind of like, it reminded me of that one meme where it's like, or wait, which meme did I was gonna say the no bitches, but that was a different one. You have a lot of wolf spiders in Texas. I remember like down behind my like uncle's like hunting cabin, they had like a area where they would play volleyball, you know what I mean? Just in the grass. And then they would, for cookouts and stuff, they would have to mow it because it would get pretty high. But then just like, we're playing in the grass and stuff, and you could just like see all throughout the grass, there's just like a ton of like wolf spiders just fucking, you know, scrounging around down there and shit. And then at nighttime, you can like see the glow of their eyes. It's a little creepy. I guess I don't know if they attack you or they would try to attack our feet or something. I'm not sure. What's my thoughts on Mr. Nightmare? Yeah, I mean, I'm positive. I've never spoken to Mr. Nightmare, and Mr. Nightmare's like success was one of the big inspirations for me to like change gears on my channel to true scary stories and stuff. So like obviously he was a very big inspiration for myself early on, and I think he's a very low-key individual. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have what I mean. He's just hanging out. I remember one of the funniest tweets. I like checked his Twitter one time, and he doesn't really say a whole lot, but then there was one that almost seemed like he was trolling that Glam and what's the girl, like Glam and Gore, because she asked like, what hairstyle should I do, and then he like tweeted a picture responding to it with like the pink-haired girl from what's that show where it's like, I'm number one, dun 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 dun, I am number one. I don't know, it was just like the little girl from the pink with the pink hair on that one. It made me laugh because I'm like, I'd never seen him troll anybody ever, and then he just trolled that person. And maybe they probably know each other because I think he follows them. But what's my thoughts on Dr. Creepin? I love Dr. Creepin. He's a super professional guy, and he's always very cordial and nice, and his voice is awesome. Just fantastic voice. Oh yeah, brown recluse. Those are very scary. I do remember one time I had like a weird psychic sort of, well, it wasn't necessarily a psychic experience. It was just sort of like a guesstimation. But I just remember I was with some friends. We were in Maryland at this like creek, and not necessarily a creek. It was like a larger creek, river type thing. And we were hanging out by these rocks, and I was like, I feel like that there's a brown recluse right underneath that rock where my buddy's foot was. And I said, and I just jokingly was like, there's probably a brown recluse under here. And I after he like stood up, I like flipped the rock, and one was literally right there, and then like scurried away to fucking, out of sight. And it was just such a strange thing because I remember like having that thought, and then also recalling, oh yeah, brown recluses are like present to like moist areas like water and that kind of thing. It was weird. You once stepped on a spider, tons of little black dots scattered across your garage. The damn spider was pregnant. Dad wasn't happy with the aftermath of an infested garage. Oh god, yeah. Did they do okay on their own, or? We had a brown recluse when I was in Tennessee, those and water moccasins. Yikes, yeah. Yeah, it's like brown reclusers suck because like sometimes people can get bit while they're sleeping and then they get like an infection in that area. It doesn't, I don't think it's lethal necessarily, but it can definitely cause some breakdown of tissue and like some infections that you have to go like have treated, which is fucking annoying. He said moist. I moist certainly did. Joel made a spider do a Zoidberg. Oh yeah. Does anyone have a black widow as a pet? And that sounds a little scary. Hey, Sasuke Uchida with the $20 Renos. Thank you. Sotsuke. Thank you. Very generous. Appreciate that. Any more scary fishing stories? Maybe. I think I have quite a few on the channel. Not a ton, but a decent amount. You keep an old widow in your closet. But thank you again, Sasuke.
Hey, listen.
They had caught a bunch of guys trying to force 2 girls into their truck, and that led them to finding 4 more girls at a house. She was telling me she just felt like she had to tell me right away so I could keep an eye out, but also watch out for younger girls. I remember telling her thank you, and I'll call her on my way to my car later. 2 hours later, A walks up to me and starts folding pants silently. She's never silent, so I asked what's up, thinking maybe she didn't feel well. She looked at me and very quietly said, They won't quit staring. It's creeping me out. I looked in the direction she tipped her head towards to find a group of young men, likely late 20s, just standing outside the shopping window staring, pointing and talking to each other. I told her I'd keep my eye on them and thank you for telling me. To get Booth, girl, I can't get rid of that accent. Did ever do a scary astronaut story? I don't think so. That would be interesting. I'm the only guy on the internet that doesn't know Sasuke from Naruto. I never watched Naruto. It was kind of like past my time, I guess. You know what I mean? I've definitely heard that name many a time, I think. But I guess it probably gave it away that I didn't know how to say it. Also, is Naruto is that like an American anime? Is that what you would call that? Or just, well, what would that be? God. I do like to run like Naruto once in a while. But I guess that was like Dragon Ball Z too. There's no biting poisonous spiders in the UK? Hell yeah, dude. You guys got lucked out with all the shit on that island. Doesn't sound like there's anything bad. Is that your everyday voice? This is my everyday voice, just talking like this. But then I get scary. Ever do horror narrator scary stories? Like just personal stuff from all of them or something like that? All the other narrators? It would be cool for a mega collab, but honestly, I don't really know if a mega collab would really do that well on my channel because people tend to just want to hear me, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess if I got everybody, it'd be sweet. No, Naruto is Japanese, but we don't talk about Boruto. Naruto is Japan. It's still great to watch. Huh. I always thought it was like made on Nickelodeon or something, and that's why the animation style was like slightly different. Boruto doesn't exist. When do I start reading? I'll start reading right now. To get both girls out of their eyesight, I sent them to clean up the stock and cruise room in the back. I started doing nightly closing paperwork when one man came in. He looked around a minute and came up to the checkout and asked me why I hadn't greeted him. I said I simply hadn't heard him come in and apologized and asked how I could help him. He ignored my question and asked where the other two girls went. I lied and said that I sent one home and the other was doing inventory in the back and that I'd be happy to help him with whatever he needed. He just stared at me for a minute before simply smiling. Never one to back down, I smiled back and told him if there wasn't anything he needed, I was going to have to ask him to leave. Blah. Never one to back down. I smiled back and told him if there was... fuck. Are you watching Sonic 2 this weekend? I didn't see Sonic 1, so... I'm not like a huge fan of like those video games, like Hollywood adaptations. Of course I did like the Mario one. The real-life Mario movie back in the day. That apparently was mainly used for like money laundering for the mafia and stuff. Never one to back down. I smiled back and told him if there wasn't anything he needed, I was going to have to ask him to leave as the time was now 9 p.m. and I was closing shop. He didn't move to leave and instead looked down at my name tag. My name is Ren, pronounced like the bird, and what he did next creeped me out and nearly made me sick. He looked me in the eyes, smiled, and said, "Aren't birds usually kept in cages?" Then said that he would see me later, winked, and left. I texted the girls to stay in the back and I called mall security. Luckily, I knew the officer they sent, and he was a good friend of mine. He came in the back door and I explained everything. I had him walk them out to their cars immediately, one at a time, and he came back to get me. I was finishing paperwork. He was standing next to me when he told me not to look up. I asked him why, not once stopping my work. He told me that they were walking by outside the shop front again. They freaking waved to the security officer. He told me to just finish up and he'd get me to my car. We were one of the last shops open, so I finished around 10 p.m. and then had the security officer walk me out the back way and... Sorry, I'm kind of fucking that up. Jacob with a 5 says, Joel, as you know, my husband Jacob is heartbroken and I've never seen him like this. You truly, oh, yours truly. Oh, okay, it was a message from, hello, Stephanie. Thank you for the 5. Hey, Sasuke Uchida with the 20. Thank you, thank you. Very generous. Am I saying it right? I'm going to look up how to say it. Satsuke. I feel like that's what I'm going to hear on Forvo.
Hey, listen.
Let me try again. Let me look it up. Sasuke? Sasuke. Oh, Sasuke. Oh, okay. I do recognize that name now. And they even have Sasuke Uchiha. Sasuke Uchiha. Oh, wow. I kept saying a D in there, too. Sorry. Holy crap, I'm sorry. Sasuke. Sasuke! Sasuke! Sasuke Uchiha. There we go. Okay, now I won't forget it, and I apologize for... I don't know why, like, the H looked like a D in my eyes. Maybe I'm going fucking blind. Sasuke Uchiha. That's funny. Because I'm always used to, like, if there is, like, a Japanese name, usually it's, like, 3 syllables, and it's usually very, like, it's, like, enunciated exactly how the English letters are spelled, for the most part. So, it's funny. Joel, go up on YouTube and look up Naruto screaming, Sasuke! I shall later. Joel is a alien. I know. You guys can't tell my secret. Sasuke. Barbecue Sasuke. Oh, that'd be a good username. That'd be a good meme page for cool anime memes. Barbecue Sasuke. Boom. Easy. $1 million right there for you. You can have it. What do you mean, Sasuke? I don't know, Sasuke. That sounds kind of sus. We were one of the last shops open, so I finished around 10 p.m. and then had the security officer walk me out the back way to my... Fuck. We were one of the last shops open, so I finished around 10 p.m. and then had the security officer walk me out the back way into my car. He told me to get in and lock my doors. He actually followed me out to the highway to make sure that I wasn't followed. I learned later, 2 other officers had done the same for my girls. I talked to my mom the entire drive home. I got home safe and immediately called A&M, and they were home safe as well. And I felt so much better knowing that. I told them that they were going to take the next few days off and then would go to our sister's store the town over for a few weeks. And next, I called my district manager and other store manager and explained what had happened. I was sent to a different store as well, and it ended there luckily. But I have never been so creeped out and worried for my coworkers' lives as that night.
Morbius was either a hit or miss with everyone. Nobody is in between. Yeah, it was weird because I saw Jared Leto was not only just in the movie Morbius, he's now on like a television or like a series as well. I'm not exactly sure where it's on, if it's like Netflix or what, but I'm like, I do find that interesting. Sometimes actors will like bang out a few movies all at one time, get their paychecks, and then they can get back to, I don't know, riding goats to the top of Everest or whatever it is they do.
Unhinged. Unhinged. Joel could do a phone talk business successfully. There's a phone talk business. What do you mean, like work for 911 or something like that? Hello? What's your emergency? Please! Oh, they're in the fucking house! Oh, yeah? Are they close? What are you talking about? Is this 911? You know it is. 911 after dark. Oh my god, they're in my room! Ah! Oh. Oh, that's what you meant. All right. Just a single question mark in the chat. Question mark? What? I need a spoof channel. Well, Mega has been, like, after the stream is done, you can go to the VOD, and then I think you can make clips of stuff. So if there's anything funny or, you know, that you enjoyed about the stream, you can clip stuff and then, like, share it on Twitter and tag me. So that's always fun. I honestly really, I like, forget some of the shit that I say. So it's really funny to, like, hear clips from the stream and, like, in, like, little sizes or whatever, and just, I don't know, have a bit of a giggle from that. Same with the, you know, sometimes I'm recording and I keep recording and then I'll say something during that, and I just so happen to say something about the sex bots that were, like, brigading the chat. And I put that on Twitter. Nani? 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 That's like every anime Okay. Enough of that. Enough of that. This happened 5 years ago, when I was 19 and living with my parents. We had a new neighbor who was super strange. She would watch us through her curtains and then quickly close them and run away, or she would stand outside smoking cigarettes and just stare at our house from her patio until we made eye contact, after which she would just run inside. My parents started to leave for 1 to 2 weeks at a time to go check out houses 3 hours away, since my dad got a promotion and I would stay in our old house. I would still catch the neighbors staring at our house, but I was used to it by then. Oddly though, I started to feel super uneasy at night, like I was being watched for whatever reason, but I figured it was just nerves from being alone. One night in particular, I felt extremely uncomfortable. Like, I really felt like someone was watching me and I couldn't sleep, so I called my boyfriend at the time and asked him to come over. He said no because he didn't want to drive, so I went around the house and turned on a ton of lights and also barricaded any entrances and slept with a kitchen knife close by. I know that sounds extra, but I was scared. I did that for 2 or more days until my parents came back. When my parents came home, I explained what happened and they thought I was just being paranoid. My dad started on some yard work, but then came into my room with my mom and angrily asked me if I had started smoking. I was shocked and said, of course I haven't. My bedroom window looks out into our yard, and my dad said that right next to my window, there was lipstick-covered cigarettes stuffed under the siding of the house. Obviously, we all had a pretty good guess of who it was, and my parents then installed cameras. Our neighbors watched them be put... Whoops, our neighbor. Our neighbor watched them be put in, and she stayed away after that, besides staring through her curtains. And when we moved shortly afterwards, my parents picked a house that gave us more privacy and installed the cameras on the new house, too. I still think it's super freaky, and I will never doubt my intuition like that again.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I literally got into trouble because supervisor caught me telling the guy to keep up the rhythm. You can do it. It was encouraging him because I was bored to death. Wait, whose rhythm? Do you work at a dance club? R2D2? For some reason, when I saw the R2D2, I thought Red Dead Redemption 2 for some reason. Hee hee. Hee hee. Y'all crazy. Okay. It's the most terrifying thing I'd ever experienced. This happened. Okay. This happened 4 years ago when my boyfriend and I were still sort of fresh into the relationship. My sister had recommended me a snorkeling trip for a fun thing to do with him. It was this quarry surrounded by a campground that is filled with water, and it's known for its crystal clear water and its diving. There's apparently a helicopter and school bus that people dive down to see. My boyfriend and I decided to go camping for the night. While we were checking in, we separately both got a bad feeling about the place, but fuck, my voice cracked. I had a boomer moment? How come? Sometimes the clips are weird and linked to the video I watched prior. There are def glitches. Oh yeah, it seems they're still working that kind of stuff out. Jacob with a 5 says, Joel, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you helping my husband Jacob name our daughter that's in my womb from Stephanie. Oh, that's awesome. And thank you for the 5.
Hey, listen.
Do I like guns? I like these guns. Yeah, I like firearms, you know? There are interesting pieces of machinery. I apologize. Oh, yeah, where was I here? Oh, yeah. My boyfriend and I decided to go camping for the night. While we were checking in, we separately both got a bad feeling about the place, but had kept it to ourselves until after we left. So at first, it was a really good time. We snorkeled in this shallowish area of the quarry, and although the depth of the water was a bit uncanny, I still was enjoying myself. The water is 65 feet deep, so once you had swam out of the shallow area, it immediately dropped off and was pitch black. This is actually where I realized that I'm terrified of water. Besides the dark, deep water while we're swimming, there's something very scary about a lake that is perfectly still. I assume because it's a quarry, the water doesn't really have any sort of current. My boyfriend and I are winding down our night, and we're back at our campsite. We're camping in a grassy patch down a hill from the road. Our tent is pitched in a wooded area that our campsite is extended to, and just across the green is a campsite that looks well lived in, but our neighbors were out. We're making hot dogs over the fire when our neighbors get back. It's nighttime now, and they immediately go to sleep. I'd say 20 to 30 minutes after they get back is when things started to become spooky. My boyfriend and I were chatting when we noticed a dark figure watching us from the hill. Because of the shadow of the fire, we couldn't actually make out the characteristics of the figure. We knew that he was staring directly at us, almost hiding behind our neighbor's truck. He had watched us for what felt like forever until he started walking down the road again. We both watched him in dead silence, watching him walk behind the trees, the same ones connected to our campsite, but that also went in between us and him. I anticipated each time that I'd see him walk forward, out from behind a tree. It was a good 4 or 5. What? Where do you prefer to live, States or the UK? Oh. Well, I never lived in the UK. So the States, I guess.
What was this? It was a good 4 or 5 he came out. Oh, I see. It was a good 4 or 5 he came out from. It wasn't until after this I noticed that he had stopped walking, or he was behind the tree still. I was totally freaked out. Where did he go? I watched my boyfriend looking at what happened and thinking the same thing, but he had shrugged it off, and I naively did too. We actually ended up forgetting about it and went to the quarry late night. We actually ended up forgetting about it and went back to the quarry late at night. It was beautiful seeing the stars reflected against the water, but the deep, now completely black water was terrifying to say the least. We walked back to our campsite, lied in our tent, and smoked a joint. I soon began to feel an uneasy feeling, which I was trying to ignore, telling myself it's just because I was paranoidly high. After some silence between us, my boyfriend says to me, "Do you feel like we're being watched?" I said, "Why would you say that?" Half joking, but full serious that I was scared. My boyfriend wanted to get out from the tent, so we're standing by my car, and I got this stupid idea that being in the middle of the field that's in the middle of the campground is the safest place for us. My logic being, if someone was going to come up to us, at least we'd be able to see them. So, we're in the middle of this field when we see a similar looking shadow figure from earlier staring at us. He must have been about 20 yards away. We both notice him while walking, and he's walking in the same direction as us. We change directions, and so does he. We tell one another if we change again, he does too, that we're booking it to my car. When we change, he follows and we book it to the car. I watched him from my seat as he slowly walked back into the darkness while still staring into our direction. My boyfriend at this point says to me, "Let's get out of here." I agree, but all our camping gear is outside. We quietly get our things together, not trying to freak the other one out. The weirdest part of this story, in my opinion, is the next part. My headlights weren't working, and there was a weird fog over my windshield that didn't go away no matter what we did. We had to drive out of the woods with only low beams and a strange fog over the window. We barely could see, but did get out of there. Weirdly enough, the fog went away right as soon as we got to the gas station. We got home at around 1 at night. I told my father the story the next day, and he said that he's glad that we got out of there, or else we potentially could have got murdered, he thinks. 2 people have died at this campground while snorkeling, which I find out after I got back. My boyfriend and I think it was either a person trying to kill us, or, who knows, maybe the Wendigo. We've kind of settled on the Wendigo because what happened to us was just almost too freaky to think about.
When did it go? Turn on your defrost. I know, yeah, there's like too high to figure out how to turn on the lights and like too high to turn on the defrost. I don't know what to do, man. And like the guy, like, he just kept trying to walk up to them to ask them a question. Like, "Hey, I notice your lights are out." "I noticed you had your e-brake on." I don't know. I literally got chased by girls I literally got chased girls, what? I was Gunnar Nelson. It was so insulting. I'm at least ever played Until Dawn. You know, I never did. I did. That's like a kind of choose your own adventure style. Like you have to like react, kind of like the Walking Dead video games. And I never got to play that one, but it did look really cool. And I thought it was cool that it had Hayden. What's her name? Hayden Panettiere in that, which I hadn't seen her for like since that show, like Heroes. Remember that show Heroes, where she's like a superhero or some shit. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Posting from an old account. The username in my main account is the same as all my other socials. I would like to remain anonymous. This story is about a neighbor I had once been fairly comfortable around, but the relationship changed overnight. It started making me insanely uncomfortable. Oh, okay.
I had lived in the same apartment complex for 2 years, and across from me was my neighbor Sam. He seemed like a normal guy and a single father of 3. Over the 2 years I lived there, we had engaged in small talk many times, and I believed he was a nice person. He felt like a father figure since he's twice my age and always seemed willing to help out if I needed it. Last summer, my region experienced an insane heat wave that we simply didn't have the infrastructure to deal with. It's common for apartments and homes in general. It's common for apartments and homes in general in the northern United States to not have air conditioning. Temperatures were aiming to reach over 100 degrees, and without AC, we all would have had to prepare. God damn it. Temperatures were aiming to reach over 100 degrees, and without AC, we all would have had to prepare. I can't read those ones where it's like the same fucking word twice. We all would have had to prepare to basically. Alright, yeah, sorry. I don't know why that's hard to say. Temperatures were. Temperatures were aiming to reach over 100 degrees, and without AC, we all would have had to prepare. Fuck, man, why is this so hard to read? We all would have had to prepare to base. We all would have had to. Jesus. Temperatures were aiming to reach over 100 degrees, and without AC, we all would have had to prepare to basically endure 90-plus degree heat in our homes with no relief. I had purchased a portable AC unit, and me being from the southern United States, I didn't have the slightest clue how to set it up, and all online advice was only useful for windows that slid vertically. I had a unique dilemma given that my window slides open horizontally. After struggling with the air-conditioned vent for a while, I decided to knock on my neighbor's door for help. That turned out to be a big mistake. After leaving my apartment, he started sending text messages that made me feel quite uneasy. The first message was something along the lines of, "I could tell you were nervous around each other." What the fuck? I could tell you were nervous. The first message was something along the lines of, "I could tell you were nervous around. I could tell we were nervous." Jesus Christ. How long have we been going? 2 hours? Yeah, it's about this time that my brain starts to melt. Imagine if I did 3 videos in one day. Who remembers Dare? I do. Drugs are really extremely cool. The first message was something along the lines of, "I could tell we were nervous around each other. I'm shy. What are you up to tonight?" I was honestly grossed out and disturbed by that because it seemed delusional. I wasn't nervous around him at all because I'm simply not attracted to him, yet in his mind I was nervous. I didn't reply. He proceeded to text me and call me every day and was even leaving voicemails. He even blew me a kiss in one of the voicemails. He even blew me a kiss in one of the voice messages. I was starting to get scared because normal people don't continue to call and text someone that's not responding to them, yet this guy wouldn't leave me alone. I figured if he was this unhinged, then outright rejecting him and telling him I wasn't interested could possibly be dangerous, so I continued to ignore him. If I was coming home at night, I always had a friend on the phone with me in case I bumped into him. I was becoming so on edge by all the unwanted contact, I called my cousin, who was a lawyer, to tell him everything that was going on. He asked me for my neighbor's full name. After looking him up, he found out that my neighbor was a felon and actually on an offender's list. He had been in prison for 5 years for assaulting a 12-year-old girl. He was also able to find out that my neighbor had been arrested back in 1988 for armed burglary. These are just the times that he'd been caught. I searched for a new apartment, and the one with the earliest vacancy would be 3 weeks out, and I had to wait. I went to the leasing office of my then current apartment and told them everything that was going on and opted to break my lease and move out as soon as the new apartment was available. I'm so grateful I had a male friend over this particular night. The vent for my portable AC had fallen out of the window, and I was fiddling with it and trying to get it to sit tight like it was before. While doing so, I got another text, and was my neighbor. It said, "I see you. You're looking really good today. Would you like some help?" Upon reading that, I realized that he must have been outside and watching me in my window. I was shaking with fear. My friend saw how scared I was, and when I told him what happened, he went downstairs to confront Sam, pretend to be my boyfriend, and told him to stop texting me. I was so shaken up, I called out of work and booked the next flight to my home state to wait the remaining 3 weeks out at my best friend's apartment, far away from the creepy neighbor. I wasn't even going to allow any possibility for things to escalate further. Fast forward 3 weeks, I had hired movers to get all my stuff out of my old apartment. I was cleaning out the fridge, and the neighbor and I ended up coincidentally leaving our apartments at the same time. When we made eye contact, he licked his lips, and that was the last time I saw him, and I'm so glad I moved out.
Maybe I'll just end on the licking lips part. I feel like that's like a creepier part to end on.
When we made eye contact, he licked his lips.
It was me.
When we made eye contact, he made a murloc sound.
How many more stories? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 stories left. Men licking their lips is disgusting. What if they have chapped lips? Maybe you just had chapped lips. And you didn't have any lip lube like I do on hand that I'm using right now. That would be there's the end, yeah. Hey, thanks, Jay. Good to see you. Fucking World of Warcraft Murloc, yeah. Why not Zoidberg? That'll just chap them more, licking them. True. It's kind of silly that, like, our saliva doesn't have some sort of, like, moisturizing aspect to it for the lips. Maybe in the future we'll evolve to have fucking Vaseline just dripping out of our mouth. Effin' Dawn, what's poppin'? You don't know what's wrong with you? I don't know. What's going on? You alright? For the Horde! For the Horde. For Asgard. For Asgard. Guarding my ass. Chapped lips are the result of an unhealthy diet. Be more specific. It's mostly enzymes and water. True. And DNA.
My big love bug of a parrot is well trained, and I take him out into the world on his harness. He loves it, and it's really stimulating and enriching for him. He's really cool, so I don't blame people for it necessarily, but he tends to attract a lot of attention. We live in a small tourist town, so it's not just regulars and locals that I deal with. I never really know what to expect. Most of the time it's harmless, just some curious about him, just someone. Most of the time it's harmless, just someone curious about him. I'm pretty socially awkward, and sometimes it's really good for me to talk to the public about him. However, sometimes it puts me in weird, sketchy, uncomfortable situations. It's not uncommon for people to corner me, block my path, or chase me down yelling things like, "Excuse me, hey, stop, can you stop, come back, I want to see the bird." Please don't do this. The weird ones almost always ask, "How much is he worth?" And that's a red flag to me, to which I try to change the subject or say something vague. The extra rude ones always keep pushing. Yeah, but how much? Anyway, this one particular day I had enough of the harassment. I wanted a peaceful day out for us, so I walk with my bird to this quieter end of town, usually just the odd local walking by. There's a footpath, a grassy hill, and a beach at the bottom. I'm by myself, so I make sure to have us sit a ways down the grassy hill in a spot where we can see people coming from both directions. We sit down with our smoothie. My bird immediately dives in and starts ripping up the grass. He's in his happy place. I'm hanging out, playing on my phone, playing with my bird and watching my surroundings. I'm thinking, alright, this is great. There's been barely anyone. Those that have walked by haven't... Sorry, it sounded weird. Those that have walked by haven't really okay. Those that have walked by haven't really noticed us. We've far enough... Dude, I suck at reading. We're far enough away from the path for anyone to have to be pretty exceptionally awkward to approach us. They would have to walk well off the path and down the hill to get to us. There's maybe going to be the occasional dog person that walks by. Dogs are meant to be on a leash here, but I know that people don't always listen, so I stay vigilant. We've got some shade and are happy and... God, dude. I keep, skipping words when I'm reading, and it fucks me up. We've got some shade and are happily sharing our smoothie and playing in the grass, and life is good. And then I notice this man walking along the footpath. He has a schnauzer dog, and it's on one of those horrid, retractable leashes that no one ever seems to use correctly, but alas. I notice him, then he notices me. Usually dog people are pretty bud. I notice him, then he notices me. Usually dog people are pretty good about keeping a distance. He walks along. Sweet. Then the dog notices us. He runs towards us, to the very end of his retractable leash, and is jerked to a halt at the end, barking savagely. I think, okay, he's going to pull him back, to which he does. Phew. I look away for half a second, and then lets him off the leash. The dog flies down towards us. My bird lets out an alarm call and backs up to me as it happens, and I instinctively scoop him up and throw him on my shoulder, standing up and dropping my smoothie in the grass. The dog is leaping at me from uphill, scratching me, all the while barking and acting all savage and inconsolable. Amidst protecting my feathered companion and fighting off this tiny bearded idiot, I manage to utter a, "What the F? Not cool, get your dog." The man is casually walking towards us, laughing hysterically with no intention of stopping the chaos. I'm still being attacked by this vicious little dog, and again I exclaim, "Are you kidding me? Get your dog off of me!" This one got his attention. "What did you just say to my little girl?" he says with some accent, maybe German. "I said get the effing dog away from us. This isn't funny." He's directly in front of me now, stops laughing. "Well, you better watch your mouth. You don't know who you're talking to," he says and proceeds to snatch me by the wrist. Also, please remember the stupid dog is still savagely jumping on me trying to get to my bird. I haven't ever been physically grabbed like that by a stranger, and I yelled, louder and more ferociously than I probably ever have at another human. I screamed, "Get the F off of me," and jerked my arm back. I miraculously break free of his grasp, and as I did, he geared up to backhand me. He took a swing, and I leapt back, screaming, "Get away from me." "You need to take better care of your pet," he says. "You have no idea who you're talking to." Thankfully, another old man was walking along the footpath now, came out from the corner and saw the commotion. He immediately ran down and intercepted another swinging backhand coming my way and kicked the dog off of me. The evil old Germanish man continues to threaten me and tells me to take better care of my pet again while the nice man shoos him away. He finally collects his dog and backs off. He slowly trails away, shouting insults and yanking his dog along. The nice man sits with me a minute in the grass until we're sure he's gone. I was shaken up, literally shaking, and he kind of talked me down. It was a stressful walk home alone. I stopped for one and was constantly looking over my shoulder. And luckily, it seems my bird forgot about the whole incident pretty quickly and was back to his cheery little self that evening. I, unfortunately, was not. It really frightens me going anywhere alone now, and it's safe to say when I do, I'll be putting up with the annoying tourists from now on.
Dude, that's really weird. You have a bird too, and I kick him in the balls so hard and run. Oh, the guy. Yeah, this is really strange. Lets the dog off, laughs, and yeah, he must have been insane or something. Shit. What are you guys up to? Doggy styling, profiling, birdie style. Joe, you have the most well-spoken American accent I've ever heard. Your voice is beautiful. Oh, thank you, Kitty. I appreciate that. Huh. The most well-spoken American accent. Now that is a compliment that I like to hear. You hear that, other Americans? Get your shit together, bro. Joel, in those stories, your voice talent flourishes. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I would like to be louder, more like expressive, but sometimes I'm worried that I'm just gonna like peak the mic. You know what I mean? So I try not to like let out too much emotion. De La Monte Robinson with the $25 Reno says, showing my support, just got paid. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. Payday, baby. Let's go. Thank you, thank you.
Hey, listen.
Just landed in Vegas from vacation in Salt Lake City, cleaning vintage pearl beads. Say anal bead? No, pearl beads. I'm stuck at work until 5 a.m. My bird is my everything. If a man did that, I'd kick the dog and the man. Yeah. And birds are very, like, receptive to, like, negative energy. You know what I mean? They're very anxious creatures, I assume. Right? So it's just weird that he just, like, let him off. Doing taxes. Oh, no. We just went over that. Has there been any twerks tonight? I think there was 2 twerks tonight. Baby. You keep me going. Oh, thank you, Isaiah. Have you thought about erotic narrations? I mean, a lot of people have asked, and I definitely think, like, if times gets tough, you know, I will perhaps go in the direction of doing an OnlyFans or something like that where I read that kind of stuff, but at the same time, like, I don't think I've quite arrived at that point in my life yet, you know what I mean? Bro, I'm listening at work. I worked at another location from 5 to 11 p.m. and now I'm here at my own location because someone called out. I don't know how I'm functioning right now. Yeah, that sounds rough as fuck. Also, be careful drinking too much caffeine. I don't know. For me, drinking too much caffeine makes me really tired. Let's Riley Reid. Oh yeah, how's Riley Reid doing? Didn't she get married recently or something like that? I hope she's doing well. We are old friends. She doesn't answer her phone, though. What the fuck? I think a fantasy novel would be great. Yeah, that would be fun. Narrate about the splooge. The splooge. OnlyFans of net me fat stacks. You know, maybe. I think it's more about the reputation kind of thing. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody would actually give a shit. And nowadays, I feel like people would probably defend me for it, but I don't know. I just imagine it's like, you have a what? You what? Honestly, actually, I wouldn't give a fuck. Who cares? Whatever. Get your paper, girl. I love your voice and look forward to when you have new content on. It helps me relax and it's hard for me. So thank you so much for taking the time. Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Bracy. Appreciate that. You had enough coffee today. I need to eat actual food. True, true. That'll get your blood sugar where it needs to be. You have insomnia in your voice. Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, it is crazy. Like just having work is work, Joel. This is true, Samuel. Let them judge. You shall be judged. But then you find out that the ones that judge you the most are the ones that are jerking off to your OnlyFans. So, whatever. Do I ever show myself? I do not, no. Just never really had any interest in doing that. I hate car shopping. Someone give me a car. Someone just give me a car. Maybe if you go, yeah, maybe at the bottom of that quarry, in that quarry story, I hear there's a free helicopter if you want one of those. That'd be cooler than a car. All right, we got 3 Storerinos left. You try not to drink more than 24 ounces of coffee a day. Yeah, I've kind of got myself a little bit fucked in the sense of caffeine because I'll like drink a strong coffee, you know, upon waking, and then at some point during my day I drink a Bang energy drink. Not good. Not good, folks. Not good. It's just, I don't know, anxiety city. But actually my body doesn't really get as much anxiety from as it used to, so I don't know if that just means my adrenal glands are fucking just fried. Who knows? How long you been doing YouTube for? You know, believe it or not, I've been doing it since 2014, August. I think I started August 14th, 2014. I think you can even check if you click the about area on my channel. Jesus fucking Christ, your heart. Yeah, what happens to my heart? Do you think anything bad will happen to my heart? You drink a gallon of water a day, though. I don't aim for that. It's just what I drink in a day. That's good. It's good to be hydrated. I drink a gallon of Diet Dr. Pepper. All right. You're officially old now. I mowed the yard yesterday, came in sweating and craving a hot cup of coffee. Old people do that. That's true. Not even like an iced coffee or like some stupid Starbucks mocha lapa bapa. Just a hot cup of coffee after fucking completely dehydrating yourself. That's hilarious. That literally is what my grandparents do. And hey, you know what? I don't even blame them. That sounds pretty fucking good. You used to drink coffee as a kid, Sam? Damn. Yeah, doesn't like, I don't know. I was going to say, doesn't caffeine affect like kids' growth? But then I'm like, wait a second. Every stupid kid who plays Fortnite, including myself, when they were little, not that I played Fortnite when I was little, but I mean, I was definitely one of those like little dumpers, you know what I mean? But like they all drank Mountain Dew, you know? And Mountain Dew's just like chock full of caffeine. Now dude, I think honestly, well, I probably shouldn't talk trash because I probably would like endorse them at some point, but but like seeing like G Fuel as like a sponsor for like video games and shit like that, like I get it. It's like a stimulant type thing. It's like a stimulant type thing, and but it's like it's like part of like video game culture and shit like that, and I just don't think it should be like something that like kids should be drinking, you know what I mean? Like I really don't think kids should be having that much caffeine at all, you know? Jacob with the 5 says, Joel, my husband Jacob said that I mean more to him than life itself. From Stephen. Well, that's awesome. That's a good good relationship goals. G Fuel sponsorship has left the chat. Yeah, I fucked that up. I can't be one of those people. I can't be Who's that guy that does reactions, or some ordinary gamer? He has like the G Fuel in the. I feel like everybody has that, where it's like the fucking shit, G Fuel in the background of every goddamn video. Those guys advertise a shit ton. It really makes you wonder, like, where do these companies get like their, or how much do they put into advertising just stuff? You know what I mean? Because there's so much, like, I don't even like looking back at like Beats. Remember when Beats were like a huge like headphone that you saw like every NBA, NFL player like wearing, like getting off the bus going to like their pregame locker shit, or like in every commercial, like you saw that shit like advertised everywhere. And I guess somebody like somebody like compared it, was like, well, you have research and development and then you have advertising, and it's just like astronomically large in comparison. We need to figure out how to advertise Let's Read. Less research and development for Let's Read, more advertising. Great grandpa really did drink coffee out of a saucer. It was cool. That's funny. My gran also gave us coffee when we were little. Lots of coffee. Too much coffee. It started to shake a little bit. I definitely think coffee would probably be better for kids, honestly, like, than fucking the shit that gets pumped into them now. It's like dude, oh my god, yeah, I remember in like high school, every kid would drink like Red Bull and Monsters. And then I swear to god, there was like quite a few kids who had to like stop drinking Red Bulls and Monsters because they had heart palpitations from drinking like fucking quite a few a day. It was not a superb situation. Anyways, here's Wonderwall. This happened around 2003 when I was 12 or 13 years old. My mom had chosen to homeschool me that year, and for some reason had also tasked me with walking my younger sister, about 9 or 10 at the time, to school. The walk was just shy of a mile each way. We lived in a very safe, smallish suburb, so I generally felt fine walking around by myself or with my younger siblings. On this morning, about 2 blocks into the walk, I noticed a large, older red van parked on a road next to us, idling with an older man, maybe in his 50s or 60s, in the driver's seat staring at us. He looked like a creepy Mr. Clean, I guess. I didn't get a good feeling, but he was parked, so we just kept walking and didn't think anything of it. We walked a few more blocks to another residential area closer to her school and noticed the same red van was now parked on the opposite side of the street. The street wasn't deserted or anything since the school was pretty close at that point, so we just kept walking, and much to my dismay, the van kept creeping closer to the school also. Driving and parking, every other block or so. Once we get to the school, I walk her to her classroom and then leave to start walking back home. I had somewhat forgotten about the van, until about a block into my walk home I see it parked just ahead. At this point I realized I could no longer justify this as a coincidence. I felt that I was in legitimate danger. I don't have a cell phone, and the streets are now empty because everyone is either at school or work. Looking back, I should have just returned to the school, but that didn't cross my mind at the time. I walk quickly and notice that he is now following me, slowly. I start changing up my route. I quickly make a turn, and I don't need to make... What? I quickly make a turn. I don't need to make an... Oh, I see. What's the subject from this story? Well, this video is just general Reddit stories, so... Also, I'm thinking about... What do you guys think about this? I'm thinking about titling all of the Reddit/subscriber stories just as Reddit stories. Because I think it might reach a larger, wider audience as far as, like, suggested... You know how, like, you get suggested videos, and that's how you stumble onto new channels that you subscribe to, right? Well, my thought process is, if you're a new person and you stumble across a video that says, like, scary Reddit stories versus, scary subscriber stories, you're probably going to click on the Reddit one, I assume, because Reddit, is related to something most people would be familiar with, like as far as Reddit goes. But then and it might also be something that people search up. Whereas subscriber stories is kind of like, you see that and you think, oh, that's like specific to, that person's channel. What do I want to watch that? You know what I mean? Sounds okay, but you're the manager. Thank you. And now you're all promoted. Joel, you have ever read the Anansi's The Goat Man Scariest Story I've ever read? No, I don't think so. Is that like a creepypasta? Reddit is pretty neat, really. I just discovered a few. Yeah, there's so much stuff on there. And the cool thing is, if you make a profile, you can like edit all the subreddits that you're subscribed to and get rid of all the main ones. So you don't have to see all like the really cringy main ones. You can just have it like specifically catered to your desires or the ones that you subscribe to. I need to do Chupacabra stories. I feel like I did at one point, long time ago. I don't know if it's still around or not. It may have decayed and died. Buttersocks are us. Buttersock are us. The butter succubus. The Chupacabra. Oh my god, that sounds delicious. Holy shit, Taco Bell should do that. Can you imagine for Halloween the Chupacabra? What do you think would be in that? That sounds amazing. It would have to have blood. I see him in the intersection. Wait, where am I at? Oh, I see. I quickly make a turn I don't need to make in hopes of throwing him off, only to find that he drove back around to cut me off at the end of the street. I'm now terrified and start sprinting as fast as I can. He starts driving slightly faster behind me, clearly staring directly at me. I keep running and duck into an alley with apartment garages in it. I see him looking from where I went and then driving up the block in the hopes that I went that way. I start running through apartment complexes instead of taking the normal street because I know if he catches me, I'm done. I was a small child. No way I would have been able to defend myself. Finally, I'm able to make it to my street using my apartment complex hopping strategy. Strategy! You love decaying and dying. Yo, same. I literally emailed Taco Bell twice and told them to do it. Oh, really? That's hilarious. Dude, that's a stupid thing. Like, anytime the public that consumes their product ever has, like, any idea for a big corporation's, like, food or product, it just gets pissed into the wind. Like, who the fuck is in charge of coming up with, like, Mountain Dew piss water or, like, Taco Bell diarrhea sauce? Like, what think tank has to come up with that shit? But they can't just like walk around to normal people who send them hundreds of emails a day, you know what I mean? Like with some decent ideas. Like, I don't know. I just, if I ran a fast food company or a soda, empire, I would listen to the people. I mean, they're the ones that I'm trying to poison. I want to give them the poison that they want. Finally, I'm able to make it to my street using my apartment complex hopping strategy. I see him at the intersection at the end of my block, but he hasn't turned yet. I sprint across the street as fast as I can and run into my open garage, shutting it immediately. Once I realize I'm safe, I start uncontrollably sobbing. My mom emerges and doesn't understand why I'm upset. She didn't see the danger in the situation that I saw. I still asked that we call the police, but they said they couldn't do anything about it since technically nothing had happened at all. And I still think about that day often, even after 19 years. There was the Wolfman in northern Michigan with even a song here on YouTube that is played every Halloween. Check it out. Okay. They need to ask stoners what to do with their menu. Boom, $1 million. I know, right? Or maybe they need to get a little stoned. It does make you wonder, like, Just like what focus group comes up with just random flavors for shit. Because it never seems like they come up with great ones. They just need to make like diet Oreos, like ones that just you eat and it turns into, I don't even know, like cotton candy dust. But in the sense that it turns into like vapor. Diet food, that's what I'm saying. Just no calories whatsoever. I woke up earlier and thought it was the morning, so jumped up and started to get ready, but then realized it was the evening. Hey, oh, that is tough. Alright, 2 Mersteries. So this happened a few months back when I was 20 and still living in Denver. It was about 80-40... What the hell? It was about 8:45 at night on a weekday, and I was walking back to my house from the bus stop, which was only about a 5 to 10 minute walk, depending on my pace. I had my headphones on because I hadn't removed them when I got off the bus. The street was completely empty and quiet, so I'm being mindful to check my surroundings, turning the volume down on my headphones and trying to walk as quietly as possible to hear if anyone comes up behind me. The rock. Jeez Louise. The street was completely... Oh, yeah. Wait, where was I? The walk, yeah. The walk is Fuck. The walk is pretty uneventful. This is until I glance behind me for about the 20th time since I started walking and notice a car slowly turning onto the street I'm on. At first, I'm not really put off by it since I know that one of my neighbors that lives further down the block usually gets home right around the same time that I'm coming up on her house. So I keep walking, but I turn my headphones off and tug them down around my neck before pulling my phone out in case I need to make an emergency call. I'm walking for another 30 seconds when I realize that the car still hasn't passed me. So of course I glance behind me again to see where it's gone, and find that it's pulled up to the curb a little way behind me, just idling. At this point I'm a little nervous, so I quicken my pace since I'm now only a block away from my house. I keep glancing behind me, taking note that I haven't heard any car doors close, which means no one has gotten out of the car. I try to tell myself that nothing is wrong and that the person is probably just taking a phone call or looking for directions. About another minute passes and then I hear the car coming up behind me. It's driving slowly, way slower than the speed limit, and rumbles past me at the same pace. I glance over as it does and see that there's 3 men inside and all 3 of them are looking right at me. Immediately, warning bells start going off and I unlock my phone, pulling up my mom's contact so I can call her right away, if needed. At this point, I'm literally 4 houses down from my own, and I think I'm in the clear when it looks like the car is going to continue on its way down the rest of the street. Except it doesn't. It pulls up the curve about 20 feet from where I am. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but they pulled the car so close that the curb... The curb. You guys are going to capture a La Chupa... Wait, is it La Chupacabra or El Chupa... Chalupa?
Mischievous dog.
Nichelle, welcome back to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Hello. Yo, let's read. Do you just record the live stream and edit out all the talking parts for your next video? Actually, I have 2 microphones in front of me. One for live streaming, and one that has a memory stick inside of it called an H4n Pro that I record into. And then I use that, connect those, and take all of the 100 or more WAV files into Sony Vegas, and I just chop and screw those in there. That would be very complicated to take the live stream and figure that out. That would be a heck of a lot of time, but
The other way about going about it, my normal way, is I kind of got it down to a science now, which is pretty cool. El Chupacabra, thank you. Yo, that Chupacabra just took a huge L. It pulls up to the curb about 20 feet from where I am. Okay. It pulls up to the curb about 20 feet from where I am. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but they pulled the car so close to the curb that the front and back tires on the right side are basically up on the sidewalk, which means I'd have to walk onto the grass or brush against their car. Onto the grass. What is it? Oh. Which means I'd have to walk onto the grass or brush against their car as I pass. Immediately I'm like, nope. And I abruptly cross the street before calling my mom, even though I'm literally 2 houses away from my own. I'm watching the car as the phone rings, and I notice that the guys are looking at the sidewalk where I was just moments before, like they're waiting for me to pass. I can see the guy in the back seat craning his neck to look out the back window. It takes a second, but they realize that I'm no longer there and start to frantically look around for me. The driver spots me across the street, and I make a point to show him that I'm on the phone. He says something to his mates before abruptly spinning the car around and taking off down the street. I hang up the phone and cross the street to my house in a hurry. I tell my mom what happened, and when I get inside, whoopsie daisies. I tell my mom what happened when I get inside, but she just scoffs and says that they probably just wanted to ask for directions. So you don't use a cassette recorder, stop, delete, pause, and have no background noise. Yeah, so I mean, what you're hearing right now with the stream, okay, is a microphone called an AKG C214 that's connected to a Zoom UAC2 interface. Now, an interface is a piece of hardware that transfers the analog, data of the whatever the fuck that means. I don't really know what it means. I just say the words, but it transfers the analog data of the microphone that's got an XLR cord connected to it into USB digital onto your computer and then into your ear holes. Now with the interface, it's nice because it's like a piece of hardware that can like adjust some knobs and kind of like get rid of the background noise. And then with recording, I either use like a particular noise gate on Sony Vegas, or I use Audacity to remove background noise of my recordings and stuff. But yeah, for the recording, it's an H4n Pro microphone. Doesn't have to be that, but it just is what it is that I'm recording into. It's a field recorder, so it's not technically for voice, you know what I mean? But I used to think it kind of gives it that ASMR vibe, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure though, but I have it set to mono. It used to be set to stereo, so it was like more ASMR-y, but now it's set to mono because I was like very OCD with keeping my fucking face like centered with it, and people would say like, how come I sometimes hear it more in my left ear than my right ear? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I just set it to mono, and that's it. That's the exciting news of the day. So you're pretty much hacking the Matrix. Yeah, I'm pretty much Neo whenever all he sees around him is just like green, binary. And instead of like reaching into like Trinity's heart to pull out a bullet, I'm reaching in to my fridge to pull out an ice cream. I know I could have like just pulled the handle to open it, but I was too lazy, so I just used my like force powers to go through it. But hey, that's what happens when you're the one. You gotta use it to your advantage once in a while, you know what I mean? How did I start my career? I mean, it was just on YouTube, I was wanted to try YouTube, and my roommate showed me how to like edit audio and make videos and shit. And then over time, I stumbled across the creepypasta community, and I dream in code. I dream of electric sheep. And then, yeah, you know, it just grew from there, doing creepypastas, and then like doing true scary stories was like where I really found my niche, and it was like a very popular thing to do at the time, around like 2017 or something. Boxers or briefs? I wear boxer brief, like Under Armour ones. I find that they're like the nicest ones because you can wear them and do anything. You can wear them to work out. You can wear them to, you know, corral a large bovine creature. How old am I? I am 31. 69, yep. What's my favorite ice cream, though? Yeah, I mean, I love peanut butter. I love cookies and cream. I love black raspberries, really fucking good. Oh, man, I love all of them, honestly. Except I don't really like mint. I don't like mint ice cream. A lot of people like mint. I'm not a mint guy when it comes to ice cream or really anything. You should do like a legit ASMR trigger sound read. I'd die for that. Yeah, what are some trigger sounds? Triggered. What are some ones that I could do? You know, I always like the sound of like a comb. You know, like whenever you take like the comb and like pull down on like the little individual pricks on it, and it's like. Have I revealed my face? I have not, no. Not in any sort of official capacity. I did do a face reveal on April 1st, years ago, featuring Scrody McBoogerballs. The sound of zippers make me legit cringe. Ah, interesting. Trigger sounds? Pterodactyls, yeah. It just like makes you like have primal fear. That'd be funny. ASMR sounds for primal fear. Guilty pleasuress? What's that? Oh, what are my guilty pleasures? Just eating copious amounts of pizza until I want to die. But I am currently on, and I'm trying my best, currently on a calorie calorie deficit for probably the next 3 months, 3 to 5 months. We'll see what happens. It would be dope to, and you know, it's tough because it's like I have to get like, I don't even know, like over 200 grams of protein while like maintaining like 2,000 calories. And you know, it works, you know, when you're eating protein, like it's a lot more satiating and thermodynamic, like where your body's like burning or just a lot more active metabolically, I guess. But it's not a lot of food. You know, it's crazy. Like you can burn through fucking 700 calories like nothing when it comes to food, but then it takes like 45 minutes of like high intensity cardio to like actually use it up, which is kind of cool, like in the sense of like human survival stuff, but not in the modern day when you want to fit into a bikini. Scrapping the bowl is the worst sound ever. Bro, I just wanted to say that you were the best. Muhammad Ali, thank you, my friend. Trigger sound, nails being filed. Do I like the rapper Eminem? You know, I liked Eminem's older stuff when he was Slim Shady. Dim baby. Bim baby. Does okay go with him, Haley? You know what I mean? Like back when he was like fun. But then as soon as he just like started making like depression rap and like angry rap, I was like, this is uncomfortable. What brand of protein do I drink and why? You know, I just whey protein. You know, like one scoop is like 24 grams of protein and it's like 120 calories. I know that because I've done 2 scoops frequently to fill in the gaps for protein needs. and it's always like 48 grams of protein and 240 calories. It's such an interesting concept, you know what I mean? That like somebody in a science lab was like, all right, we're just going to use this milk goop that's got the most protein. Like, who would have guessed? Joe needs to fit into his bikini before summer. Yes, I need to get my summer bod. Did you work out your closet? Yeah. Things are actually sounding pretty good for that. I think I'm going to start, like, actually trying to find roles to audition for. And if something works out, I'll let you guys know. You know what I mean? Bone in or boneless wings. I mean, boneless wings are preferable in my mind. But I know that isn't boneless wings, they tend to be like just a bunch of scrunched up leftover stuff. What's my favorite music album of all time? I like this one album. It's by an electronic artist named Secede, and the album is called Trishasla. Do I know my PC specs? Not offhand, but I definitely could look those up. You know, it's like, I don't, you know, to stream and stuff, this isn't a very, like, you know, very tech-heavy stream, so it doesn't really require too much, even though having good specs on your computer does help with, like, rendering videos and stuff, but even my videos aren't very demanding. Asking as a totally blind person, what's your favorite sound? Well, I really do love the morning dove. It just reminds me so much of like 9 a.m. You know, it's like spring, summertime, and the morning doves have migrated back up from like Florida or some shit, back up to Pennsylvania. Do I speak Spanish? I do not, no. I tried to find that album a while ago, but only found snippets. Oh, it should, I think there's like an hour, like a 56-minute long one. Should be up there on YouTube somewhere. I think it's like uploaded by somebody else, but maybe I can spell it. Here, I'll type it in the chat and you can just copy paste that if you got like a different Trishasla. Here we go. I don't know why you put the, wait, is that why you put the bird sound effects at the end of the video? No, actually I did that because if you've ever watched the movie Evil Dead, it was probably one of my favorite like horror movie endings, because like up until that point I'd never seen Evil Dead. I've watched so many horror movies, you know, but then I was like, let's watch the old Evil Dead and see how that goes, you know. And most horror movies are kind of like, they kind of annoy me because they have a lot of those cliffhanger endings that are supposed to be like scary, you know, just because. But I feel like it's kind of a tradition in horror that I think is actually rather silly and kind of like derivative and just corny, I guess, even after you could like have a really cool climax and all this kind of stuff and a conclusion, but then it's got to have a cliffhanger, you know, jump scare ending or some shit, and it's just stupid. But Evil Dead basically just had a happy ending where like it was the morning time, the girl was like covered in blood or something, and like, and then she just is walking into this like, you know, the sun rays like peeking through the forest onto her, and like the birds are chirping, and I'm like, oh, and that was it. That was the end of the movie. And I'm like, oh, this is pleasant. This was a pleasant ending, and I kind of like that, you know, a happy ending. Do you watch Disney stuff? What's your favorite Disney movie? My mom told me that I used to watch like Aladdin like hundreds of times over when I was a kid. I would just watch Aladdin over and over and over again, and The Lion King. And I used to have a lot of like Disney VHS movies, and I really regret selling them because I sold them at like a yard sale. Because I remember like in middle school, I was just like, you know, my mom was like, oh, you want to do a yard sale? And I was like, yeah. And I just like sold all my shit
for no reason. Everything from my childhood, I just sold it for like cheap because I was just greedy. And it was very regrettable. Do you know any other horror YouTubers? Oh yeah, definitely. Are you talking about the remake then? No, not the Aladdin remake. I didn't see that. I don't know if it's any good or not. I was afraid. I don't want to watch it. I was afraid Will Smith was going to slap me. Chicken Wing Beat by Ricky Desktop is a good... Oh, yeah. I literally played that on the stream the one time. Like before the stream started, so that's so funny. The Goofy movie is the best. You know, I don't recall the Goofy movie too much, though my one friend's name was like something Bradley Uppercrust or something for all of his gamer tags. How often do we live streams? So I release new videos, right, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So I'll stream recording those stories the nights before, so Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, usually in the evening time. Oh, those VHSs are worth some money now, damn. Unlucky. Same with, I remember I had like a Japanese holographic Charizard and I sold it for like $5 to just this random kid, you know, because in my head I just thought, I don't need this anymore. It was just like such a regret, just like, and even knowing at the time, I'm like, man, this is some, I don't even know, this is a good fucking deal this kid's getting and I'm just giving this shit away. How long did it take you to do your vids? You know, it's like, I BS a lot during my streams, so that, I mean, I've been streaming almost 3 hours. So you could hypothetically say I like record for 2 to 3 hours and then edit for an hour or two more. And then the uploading process and all that kind of stuff. And then I have somebody else do the thumbnail. I have Robin do the thumbnail. He opened the door, I thought it was locked, and he was going on and on about being harassed by a cop. Then it started about needing... Who are you talking about? I'm at work closing, and I swear to God, I thought it was about to get robbed. Oh, scary, yeah. Bradley Uppercrust the Third. I used to think you were... Yeah, a lot of people thought I was your maker, which is pretty funny. I mean, I don't hear it personally, but I kind of understand where they're coming from because I think our cadence is similar and we have very bassy mics, you know? So I think there's kind of present, but I don't personally hear it because I'm just used to hearing myself all the time. Yeah, the kid that I sold the Charizard to, he now owns all of YouTube. It was Susan Wojcicki. I recently went to Peru, my first time out of the country, and had already had sketchy experiences my first couple of days there. My friend and I were staying at a hostel, and she didn't tell me the bathrooms were co-ed until she mentioned running into a guy at the showers. Essentially, it was a large open-air room with the left side for men and the right side for women. But nothing locked, and they were joined by a set of sinks and had only curtains for privacy. I waited until it was late and quiet in the hostel, thinking I could quickly shower. At the time, I thought the shower portion itself had a lock. It turned out either to be broken or non-existent. But in for a penny, in for a pound. What? But in for a penny, in for a pound. I was seemingly alone, and it was then or never. No sooner had I turned the shower on and undressed did I hear a pair of men enter the bathroom talking. The men seemed to pause, and I understood them to be saying in Spanish something like, "Someone's in there, in the shower." And the only thing separating me from them was about 8 feet of curved walkway, a bathroom stall door I had opened all the way to offer some fox protection, and the broken screen that was stuck open a few inches. So essentially nothing was stopping them from walking over, seeing me, or coming right in. I didn't have signal, so I hadn't brought my cell phone. The men hadn't got... The men had gotten closer talking, and I was worried that they would come in. I threw my dress back on and pressed against the side of the little shower area so that they wouldn't see me right away if they peeked in. One of the men seemed to leave, and I heard the other one walk around to the men's side,
Again, this is one large room with adjoining sets of toilets and showers. The ceiling was open air. We were not physically far apart. The man began softly crooning to me what seemed to be in a Spanish romance song. I wasn't focused on translating amidst panicking. He went on for a while I stood there hiding, terrified that he was going to come in and well aware that I could have left without... Oops. Boo Boo Kitty 3332 with the 1. Thank you, Boo Boo.
Hey,
Kitty.
listen.
He went on for a while. He went on for a while while I stood there hiding, terrified he was going to come in and well aware I couldn't leave without going past him. Eventually he stopped singing and left, and I started crying at that point as the adrenaline gave way to relief. I have PTSD, and I've been in and had family in terrible situations, and I've been genuinely afraid in that moment. It might seem funny to some of you looking back, but I was stuck in a bathroom in a foreign country with a man who realized a woman, presumably showering without clothes on, was present, who couldn't leave without passing him, and he decided to stand there and sing at her. You're not romantic. You're creepy. All right, shoot. We have arrived. Give that like button a cheeky spank, yes. I must read the outro script now, but if you all could think of something funny to say at the end. You only shower with clothes on? See, that's smart. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let'sReadOfficial, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me more, And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. What did Joel say about sweatpants? That they're the best ever. I remember sweatpants are awesome. Only Elf can pull singing to someone in the shower. Yeah, right. Wait, I can still see the chat. I'm dumb. Oh my god. Mole chat Dolma. There you go. And remember, don't be a vindictive shitter. Don't shoot the shit directly at my face. Support. D's nuts. Crafty teacup. Thank you, thank you. Always shower. There you go. Yeah, I'll probably do that. Shower with your clothes on. Thanks so much, friends. And remember to always shower with your clothes on. Oh, I feel like maybe I shouldn't do that because it would be like, if that's the last story, it might seem like disrespectful to the author of that story or something. You know what I mean? Fuck. Oh, there you go. Yeah, good idea. Chalupa Cabra. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, the Chalupa Cabra is on sale at Taco Bell. All right, we have arrived.
guys, thanks again for another awesome stream. It looks like we hit over 700 people, which is pretty wild. So thank you for that. Thank you for being here, patiently hanging out. Yeah, guys, I will be getting this ready to rock and roll for tomorrow's video. Early access for $1 a month over on Patreon, and then they also have it so you can like make it cheaper if you do it for a full year, which is, I think, is cool, because a lot of people would like, literally for a while, I remember on Patreon, people would like buy, and then like as soon as it came to payment time, they would just like cancel the payment, which is kind of sad, but it is what it is. Not a big deal. But anyways, yeah, early access over there, and then I'll have it on YouTube as always tomorrow, or today rather, 7 p.m. EST, wherever you are in the world. But good night, my friends. I appreciate you. I love you. And I'll see you again soon. Yeah, keep your pan strong. See ya.